Hello! How are we all doing? I've got my fingers crossed. Last week was a total disaster on the back end, wasn't it, Mike? I'm hoping for better this week. However, we've got 4 times as many viewers as usual. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the trick. So I'm getting sort of a half thumbs up. A little bit more effort, Mike. That's better. Hello to each and every one of you. Oh, who've we got? Everybody. I thought we might have Jammy. Who got a reminder, Jammy? Oh, let's have a look and say hello. If I miss you, tell me off. Stephen, Mrs. Arnold, hello. Pandemonium. Love that name. I do. I love that. Hello, Patience. Hello, Dale. Renee. What else have we got? Kim. Kim is in the house. Hello. Jammy. Why do you deserve a Toblerone? Is this it? Is this what we need to do? Bribe people to turn up with a Toblerone? I guess that would work, wouldn't it? Who else have we got? Carol! Hey! Finish your ship 30 essay. Have you carried on? I'm taking a rest. Having said that, there was a 2-hour epic today, but it was well worth it. Did you attend? Let me know. Right, who else have we got? Alex! Hello, Alex. Good to see you back. Who else have we got? Graham! Graham is in the house. Hello, Graham. How's that lovely computer of yours? I was contemplating getting an M1 and then decided to wait. But the way it's going, I could be waiting a long time. Let us know. Debbie, hello. Folding clothes and lost the track of time. Don't clothes fold themselves?
No.
Or is that you, Mike?
Mm.
You like the elves and the shoemaker, you do it.
That's right.
Oh, I never knew that. Right, my clothes just appear folded.
Yes, you know that pile of T-shirts?
Yes.
I did them.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know these things, Mike, but then you don't know how the network works. Like the other day when you were talking to the A-lady and she was ignoring you. Oh, never mind. Right, Peter. Hello, Peter. Hello, Paul. Oh, fantastic. So many of you in there. Right, let's see if everything's working. Because I've done an update to Wirecast. So anything could happen. Or nothing could happen. Just depends, really, doesn't it? We'll see if things move. Well, they're moving here. Hopefully they're moving for you. Busy old night. Busy old night. Right, we've got... now, Carol may not have shipped her last ship 30, but I did. Shipped it last... Was it Saturday? No, it was Sunday. Did I finish on Sunday? I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Finished on Sunday. So I thought I'd show you what it looks like when it's complete. Maybe the last time I ever complete it. You never know. Then last week I mentioned editing your dictionary and I looked for the folder and it wasn't there. That's because I was looking in the wrong place. So I thought I'd show you how to actually do it. When I went in and found it, there's some weird and wonderful words I've added. I've no idea why, but I thought I'd share. Then, this excited people. Microsoft Designer. We talked about it first time in October last year when there was a waiting list which we all joined. I got an invite this week. Mike got an invite this week. I'm assuming a fair few of you got an invite this week. Let me know in the chat. Then last week we had Valentine's Day in Affinity Publisher and I forgot to show you how to turn them into templates. So I'll show you that. I carried on and did more and then I needed to turn them into templates. So I'll share that. Got a couple of freebies. I'm just wondering, did I put them in the right place? I'm hopeful that I did, so fingers crossed. And then we've got Obsidian Part 5, Pomodoros and plugins. One that I actually used this week, and I'll be showing you our demo vault and what that looks like and why it definitely needs this plugin. And a My Vault, which no longer needs it. Ooh, excitement, isn't it? Because it does a specific thing and it does it well. That's what we'll look at. Okay. Right, we're broadcasting in 1080p. Make sure you're receiving in 1080p. Didn't you say it did something stupid with you this week?
Yeah, not YouTube, the other thing.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was off all days, to be honest. No, the worst thing YouTube did to me this week was when I was vicariously looking after your channel. And I'd started an upload because obviously he needed his beauty sleep. I don't need quite as much. And it just decided it wasn't going to upload it anymore. And I've never seen the error that appeared on Mike's channel. But I did get it up there in the end. So make sure that you go down to the cog in the lower right-hand corner. It is near the like button, just saying. And make sure you're watching in 1080p. Right. Oh, the week at MacBites headquarters. It was a rare old week. Saturday. Now, bear in mind, the show ran to 3 hours, 3 minutes, so it was actually Saturday when we finished. So picture the scene. There I was, in the small hours of stupid o'clock. I made the grave error of venturing into Facebook to be greeted with Peter's pleading pooches. Not even kidding. Brace yourself for an overload of cute. There was even messages from said pooches. Oh, the woebegone look. And if you think that's bad, wait for it. The pleading got even worse. Who could say no to that face? Those eyes. There was only one thing for it, wasn't there? So, incoming shortly, I did start it on Monday. You can see, look, Monday, 6th of February. I did start it. I've not finished it yet, but when I have, there will be a video there. So, we're still on Saturday at this moment. And Saturday, there was a game at Old Trafford, and it was the first of 2 Munich Memorial events that the fans put on. Obviously, that was taken early because it doesn't look like there's anybody there. But there was a lot of people there once we got going, trust me on that. The game itself, well, wasn't bad, was it, Mike? Because they did win. Another victory, but only just. And it was what... Did Fergie call it squeaky bum time?
He did.
Yes. It's when you get towards the end of the game and things aren't going your way and you're really concerned whether you're going to make it. So the last 8 minutes of extra time were agony for poor Mike. The players seemed somewhat stressed too. It actually all ended in tears with a would you say about a 20-man brawl?
Yeah.
I think there was only the goalkeepers not involved.
Did you not have a slide for squeaky bum? You could have used my spot bot.
I could have used my bot, couldn't I? Yeah. No, I thought I'd spare everybody. So, yeah, it all kicked off. In fact, I'm not sure at all that this is politically correct anymore, but the commentator did say it was nothing but handbags. Which, it's an idiom, that, isn't it? It means that they're just like play scrapping. But one of our players grabbed one of their players round the throat, which I think you can see in the lower, well, over on the left. If you look at where that guy's hands are, on the guy in the white shirt, yeah, the thing was the referee clocked that. That was when he got sent off. So, Saturday didn't go without incident, let's put it like that. Tesco's, however, managed to get everything here for once, which I thought called for something special from Raycast. Remember the Raycast confetti? Oh, hang on, no. It has worked, but I need to be in there for it to work properly. Right, let's do the confetti thing again. There we go, on the right screen. Oh, fabulous. Yes, I was very surprised. So we heads into Sunday, and I was busy on Sunday. I do think did I have my essay up before the celebration call? I don't think I did, but I went to the celebration call anyway, even though I hadn't actually done the day 30. If you were wondering, the first day was the 7th of January, I think, and the last day was the 5th of February. So I will be showing you behind the scenes what it looks like when it's finished, because I did show you what it looked like before it had started, and it was an empty wasteland, wasn't it? But now there's all stuff there. But you know what Sunday was really all about. It was 9 o'clock. And as with every Sunday in 2023 so far, we stopped to watch the last ever episode of Happy Valley. And I've got some exclusive footage for you. No spoilers, but exclusive footage of Mike and I watching the finale. There you go. Not a word was uttered. It was amazing. If you get a chance to see it, watch the whole lot. I could watch the whole lot again, you know, from Series 1. Which I already did. I watched Series 1 and 2 just before Series 3 started. I gave Mike the skinny on it, but I think he should watch it all again. It was definitely worth it. So I did stay up and I finished my essay after that, which meant on Monday something completely unheard of happened. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was not only awake, I was up and sat at my desk. Yeah, you'll possibly not as shocked as I was, but there was good reason for it. It was the Global Excel Summit. It was day one, and somebody was speaking twice, weren't you?
I was.
It was very good. I got dragged along as your plus one, didn't I? So I watched a lot of these sessions. Can I say some of them weren't as good as yours? Is that all right?
No, thank you.
Yours were great. I enjoyed yours. While I was doing that, I got a notification. Hit 22,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're one of them, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, drum roll. There we go. Yes, now Monday was also the 6th, which meant it was the memorial event. This was actually on the day. So many of you know that we organise the event, and I make the brochure, which I haven't actually got a copy of to physically show you, but that's the cover. When I have got a copy to physically show you, I will show you. So that was Monday. It was pretty much rinse and repeat for Tuesday, because that was day 2 of the Global Excel Summit. Unbelievably, they only had you speaking once. But that would have been a good one for people to be able to attend, wouldn't it? Because it was using Excel for Mac. You got some good intelligent questions on that.
I did.
You did, yeah. So Mike's pushing that, using Excel on a Mac. What was missing? How to use the Windows version.
Didn't get?
What?
When I pressed Command Spacebar, what app are you using?
Oh, no. People knew. So that was day 2. As we headed into Wednesday, Wednesday, probably you enjoyed it, didn't you? It was the 3rd and final day of the Global Excel Summit, day 3. But Mike was able to put his feet up and watch it and enjoy it. And they'd saved a session, hadn't they, from a guy who presents with a lot of humour. So he enjoyed that. By Wednesday, I was being driven insane by my installation of Office, telling me it was running out on the 21st. So I needed to... There was actually a buy button in there. But I'd already bought it. I'd bought it last July. I'd not only bought 1 box. Do you remember? I bought 4. Got 2 for me and 2 for Mike. So the idea was that we would put it on our account. Needless to say, it sat there. And somebody, no names mentioned, but it wasn't me, lost their 2 copies.
They fell down the back of my desk.
Fell down the back of his desk. He'd probably found a gold bar down there as well that he'd forgotten.
No, when I took this box out and got behind the desk, they were resting on 2 cables.
So when your internet's dicey and I say, have you checked your cables? Oh, yeah, of course I have. Then you find you've got 2 years worth of Office 365. But what? No, Microsoft 365. So if you're wondering which one we go for and why, it's the family one. And we go for that one because the personal one is only for 1 person. And I think you only get 1 installation with that, as you do with the home and student. And the home and student's useless, as far as I'm concerned, because it doesn't have some of the apps that I need. But what I will say with this, which is officially from Microsoft, this is pretty useless as well. Because it tells you what's in it, but it doesn't include all of it. So, for instance, there's so much missing. Have you noticed that? It says Word, Excel and PowerPoint. Fair enough. I'd never touch Outlook. It will download mail, but not all of it. And OneDrive and OneNote. That's fair enough. But it doesn't say that Access is included. And the number 1 app for me on Windows is Microsoft Publisher. And it doesn't say that's included either. But take it from me, it is. But we go for that one because you can have 6 people on it. They can all be you if you like, but each one of them gets 1 terabyte of cloud storage. So it's definitely worth it. I checked the bill and I think it was £42 that we paid for 1 year. So we added both of them and we're all sorted now till 2025. Would that we all live that long. The other thing that happened on Wednesday was the arrival of my invitation to Microsoft Designer, which we will be looking at. And then, after the brawl, they decided to do it all again. Actually, that's not true. This game appeared, and it was one of those not on the TV things, wasn't it? So we had to break out the wireless again. Don't ask, it didn't end well. For a start, the A-lady was totally ignoring me, wasn't she? And then when we finally persuaded the A-lady that she did want to give us some commentary, Mike said it's on TalkSport 2. Fair enough. We got to TalkSport 2. It started talking. We were listening to the commentary. She then lost her whatever she lost. And then when she came back, I said, just a minute, this is a different match. And they just switched the commentary between channels. So we were channel hopping looking for it. It didn't start well. Because in the absence of the TV coverage, again, Mike was relying on the radio. By the time he'd got the commentary up, they were one down. Bad words were said. Then it got worse. They got 2-0 down. Luckily, as you can see, they pulled it back. But we're playing the same team again on Sunday. Now, you might be wondering why you would do that, especially seeing as though, handbags in the last match. It's all because this match was put off when the Queen died, and this is the first opportunity they've had to play it. The trouble with stuff like this is, it becomes tribal, doesn't it? If you play the same team like twice in a week, they do tend to lose it and start scrapping. So we'll see how that goes. Which takes us to Thursday. Thursday wasn't a good day for me. Do you know what comes after an image like that of a hard drive? The two kind of go together like that. Luckily, it was only my backup drive. But I don't like not having a backup of my main machine. You wouldn't be able to boot to it anymore because of stuff Apple have done, but at least you would have a full copy of your original drive, for things like downloads and things like that. So there was only one thing to do. Head to Amazon. I wasn't pleased. I actually said to Mike, I could go to Amazon, I could get one, but, I really don't want to spend the money on it. Anyway, I headed up there. My internal hard drive is 1 terabyte. So I found that. It was on offer. First of all, there was a £3 voucher off it, and then they'd taken something like 8% off. By the time I'd finished, it was like it would be rude not to. So let's just do it and get it here ASAP. Ended up costing £44, which I didn't think was bad. So I already had a case to put it in, because it ships like that. In terms of speed and stuff, I wasn't overly concerned because it backs up when I'm not there. But actually, it's not bad at all. The funny thing to me was, as I was looking at these images, when we moved past what it was, like, it's a hard drive and you can put things on it, bless. We came to this and it said multiple devices and systems. And I looked and I thought, As far as I'm aware, a laptop isn't actually a type of operating system. A PC is, and Windows is, and Linux is, but laptop is not actually an operating system, but they were convinced it was, that it works. On the PC, you'll notice the picture that they've got is a Mac, and it works on a laptop, which also looks like a Mac. Anyway, I'm happy to report it works on the Mac. So I was all back up and running and had another backup within about 2 hours. Everything was fine in the end, which took me through to Friday. It's been a rare old busy day. I got an email today. I don't know if Mike got one, but I got a certificate, and apparently I've got 33.45 CPD points.
Yeah, I got one as well.
Why have I got 0.45?
I don't know. I
mean, could you not round that up to 5? But anyway, I got that today for attending. So I've got no one to give that to prove anything. But there you go. The other thing I did today was a 2-hour webinar. Not me delivering it, me attending. It was really good. So it was all about ChatGPT. Quite intensive, isn't it, when you're in a webinar for 2 hours? I'll have to remember that. Anyway, enjoyed myself. That didn't finish till 7 o'clock tonight. And then I had to eat dinner, so it's a wonder I'm here at all. So, let's get on. Ship 30 for 30 is now complete. So, basically we looked at this when I started, and there was a lot of different ways that I could do it. I think everybody does it a slightly different way. But I use 2 distinct systems. I have Notion and I have Obsidian. Now, Obsidian, because it's a great place to write. It also gives me access to my Zettelkasten notes. Let me know in the chat if you have any clue what a Zettelkasten is. If not, I will explain it. It also has a word count, which you wouldn't believe the number of apps that don't, or they're a mile off. It tells me, right, you've got 250 words, and I copy and paste them into TypeShare, where I post from, and it says you've got 212. And I'm like, where did the other 38 go? Are they counting spaces? So it's got a word count and it's almost accurate. I would say if it's off by no more than 1 or 2%. It's also multi-platform, so it doesn't matter if it works on Windows and Linux as well. But for me, that means mobile. So if I'm lying in a prone position trying to work, I can. Which with something like Notion, I'm always a bit concerned about. Seems to work when it feels like it. But Obsidian with Obsidian Sync, I've had no issues at all. But Notion is where the management happens. I don't really want to be tracking in Obsidian, what day number this was necessarily and what all the meta information. So I don't. So, Joe says Zettelkasten is a German word. It is. Can I explain it? Right. What is a Zettelkasten? Zettelkasten is a German word. There's two halves to it. A Zettel, which is a note, and Kasten, which is a box. So it's a slip box. The term was popularised by Niklas Luhmann, who was a German sociologist who wrote lots and lots of books and papers from the 60s through to the 90s. And he did it, and he always said he had a writing partner, and his writing partner was his Zettelkasten. So I will cover this in more detail in a future part of this, but it's his physical system, which is an index box with index cards in it, has been adopted by many, many people making digital notes. So as far as I'm concerned, my Zettelkasten is notes that I have written that, as far as I'm concerned, are complete. So it may be a theory, it may be a definition of something, it may be that I've explained what data merge is, and once I've got a description that I'm happy with, then I will put that in my Zettelkasten. Why? What's the point? Well, it means that I know for a fact that if I go to my Zettelkasten, whatever is in there is in my words, and I've kind of pre-approved it. So I might want access to something that I have written about Affinity Publisher, and I don't want to go through and check that it's okay or rewrite it. So I will just copy and paste it from my Zettelkasten because I wrote it, it's my words, and I know that it's accurate. But we will cover this in more detail as we move on. But right, let's move in and actually have a look at it. So I had it in a window somewhere. Let's have a look at that. Or did I? Did I? Are you over here? Let's have a look which window you're in. You're in neither. Okay then. Right. Oh no, I know. We'll start off with Obsidian, won't we? So which Obsidian am I in? Right. Obsidian. There we go. Right. I will show you in there. So I'll bring it onto the screen in a second. Let's get to the right page. Right. And let's bring that on. Right. I have created in here, if we look at the top, you can see where that actually is. So in the sidebar here in my files, you know I have a para system. And this lives in the resources inside ship 30. I've created a folder for the last cohort, and this is my index. So what I've actually got here, the bit at the top is something we haven't actually seen me make yet, but that's called a transclusion. Don't freak out about the name of it. It just means take a note from somewhere else and include it in this note. That's all it means. So it's indicated by the stripe down the left-hand side and the chain icon at the top. That will enable you to open that link. But if I click and I open that link, you can see it is literally just what you can see in the other note. Why bother? Because I don't want to have to copy and paste all of that into every note. All of these notes down here in the backlinks. I don't want to have to copy and paste it. So I include it. And that is what that looks like at the top. Then I've got cohort resources. So this is, you have to opt in for a cohort, even if you're on the captain's table, which I am. So these links are to opt in. And I keep the links in case there's any problems where it's like you've not opted in. Oh, yes, I have. There you go. Then I've got other links. So these are admin links to things like where the live sessions are and how do I book for them. So it's handy to have all of that information in one place. Then if there's stuff that I'm doing down here, researched for specific things. I'll put that in there as well. Then there was the live session. So each of these is linking to a page where I've taken the notes. But as I've done the live session, I put a tick in it so I know that I've finished all of that. Then we've got the completed essays. And this is really the bit that I use a lot. And I've got some commas at the bottom. But it's these essays that are the important bit. So sometimes I put a title in, sometimes I don't. And in this one, I haven't put the title. I've put that it's shipped 30 for 30 and which cohort and what day number, but I haven't actually put the title in as part of the title. Pretty much that was because I wanted it to work well on mobile and I didn't want it to have to wrap round 27 times because some of the titles are really quite long. But what I do when I'm writing them is go in there and write it. And as you can see, because you're talking atomic essays, maybe 250 to 350 words, doesn't actually look that much when you're writing it. So it's also handy that instead of sitting looking at a blank page thinking you've got to fill it, you know, when you're seeing that and you look down the bottom, that's 155 words. So it's one of the shorter ones. And that one is a title as well. So I can put that in with a 1 so we can see that that was the title. And that's all I put in here. That is absolutely all I put in here. And I'm interested that I can navigate from here using the backlinks back to the index. So the backlinks are telling me 2 things in here. One, it's linked to the index and it's day 1. And that day 1 was the 7th of January. So you can see I've got an entry in there as well. So I have 2 backlinks in here to 2 separate pages. One tells me when I posted it and the other will link me into the other content. So I would use this to navigate backwards and that will take me back. The one that's highlighted, so that one's highlighted. The highlight is showing you clicked that link to get back here. So if I now click on day 2, and we go down to day 2, you can see I've got exactly the same. A link back to the index and the fact it was the 8th. And that one was a bit longer, 315. But there we go. Again, I haven't put that in as a heading 1. I don't know why I didn't do that, but there you go. Now if I use that index to go back, it will highlight you landed here from day 2. And that's all I did all the way through it. This one, I've got final copy, which is at the bottom. I removed that bit because it was too long. So you can see sometimes I leave extra bits in as well. But that's pretty much what it looks like in here. And they're all the same. And then I would navigate back to the index again. Do we got any questions on that? Renee says it's all over his head. But surely you have notes, Renee, that you want to link together, like how you learn stuff in Publisher. It doesn't matter if it's ship 30 or anything else. This is basically how backlinks work. So I do have an index for it here, but the links have made themselves. Because I've said, you know, on this day I wrote day 3's essay, it automatically creates all of that. This is not something like Evernote where you've got to go in and do it by hand. That is what is in Obsidian. If I wanted to repurpose any of these, I could do that from here. Some of this may end up in my Zettelkasten. But at the moment, it was just an essay and I haven't done anything else with it. But that's the starting point. I would in here, if Mike's going to check it, you know, for grammatical errors and what am I like with commas and full stops. I will do it from here. I will hand him an iPad that's synchronized and do it from inside Obsidian. I wouldn't take it out and put it somewhere else. Made that mistake with the first cohort doing it in Craft because we both had access to Craft. It was a nightmare. Don't do that. But that is all I do with it inside Obsidian. And like I said, one of the reasons is access to the Zettelkasten, which as far as I'm concerned is just a resource and lives in the resources. So that's the Obsidian side of it. You might enjoy this bit more, Renee. Let's get Vivaldi. Where's Vivaldi gone? There's Vivaldi. There you are. And I've got the Notion side of it in here. And I did as well. Okay, you're not there. I will go and get it. Why is my browser stopped accepting? You know when you start typing and it gives you a link? Yeah, it's not doing that. It's just sitting there. Dumb. Right, let me go find where it is. Right, it'll be that bit there. So let's bring it on. And we'll have it full screen like that. So if you look at it, you can see it's part of content creation at the top. So I have a flight deck, which is like my homepage. And Ship 30 is part of my content creation. And it has its own page. It warrants its own page. Right, the reason that I still do this in Notion as well as Obsidian is I do not like writing in Notion. You've had this, haven't you, where you type a paragraph and you look up and it's gone?
Yeah.
It eats it. So I don't like writing in it, but I do like the fact that in here I've got a one-stop shop for everything I've ever written for Ship 30. So this table is a linked table. Obviously the master table is in the master table area. But what I've got in here is I've got the cohort for 2023 January, and I've got that as a table and a list. But I've also got October and August and April, and I thought I had going back even more, but I've got all of these in. So I could look back at what I actually did when I did the Scrivener one, or when I did the A to Z of Affinity Publisher. So I like the fact that I've got all of these things in here. What did I do in there? Oh, that was productivity. That was productivity, that one. So 30 pieces of content about productivity. I like the fact that I can go in and see that. Now, there's two aspects to this. There's this view, which is, here are all your essays. And I use this as tracking as well. You can see, although you know I've got the dates in Obsidian, it doesn't take me any time whatsoever to put this in here. The cohort, I can fill the first one and drag down. The dates, I copy and paste from a spreadsheet and just paste them in. These are just day 1 colon when it starts, so I paste those in, and I paste the date numbers in as well. So hardly any of that is me writing it. But when I start using it, let's go in and have a look at that one, which is the first one. Right, this is the actual information. So you can see it's got the cohort, it's got the date, it's got the day number. Then it's got my editor link for TypeShare. It's got the thread for Twitter. It's got the actual URL for Twitter. It's got the URL for LinkedIn and the URL for Medium as well. But more than that in here, it has absolutely everything that I need to post that. So I can post one of these things in about 2 minutes. The first time I tried this, it took me 2 hours. It was like, where do I click and what am I supposed to be doing? So I built this system to make sure that the cohorts were doable in the future. Because if each one took me an hour to write it and 2 hours to post it, I've got 3 hours a day. It's as simple as that. If I can do it in less than half an hour, it'll probably get done. So that's what I built this for. This first one is the tweet that goes into TypeShare when you post it. The second one is when you repost it and attach it to the thread. If there's anything afterwards that would make sense, so this one says, do you want to learn what version 2 of Affinity Publisher has to offer? So that is the link to the show that I did on Affinity Publisher. Then there will be 3 tweets, one after the other. This is what the essay looks like when it's on Twitter, and it's a graphic. So you download that either from Twitter or TypeShare, and I literally just drag and drop it in. The actual text of the thing is underneath the research. So the research is a toggle if there isn't any research because it's dimmed out, so there's nothing in it. But if there's anything that I need to research, I used to put it in there. Now, I probably would, but most of what I'm writing just comes out my head anyway. So there wasn't much else that I did for that. And this is the actual text that I posted with the title. And the title is also up at the top. You will notice that the title is also in that second tweet. So this, when we looked at it last time, it said day X of ship 30 for 30, and then that was blank and it said URL. So I go through and I paste all the bits in and it completes itself. So that's what day 1 looks like. I also had that set to the anchor. and I change it and set it to the ship. So where's the ship gone? There's the ship. So I change it to the ship when it's shipped and use that as a kind of tracking device. So that's day one. Any of these are all going to look very similar right now. Because they are all complete. They've all got a tick in every box. Everyone's got the essay downloaded. Everyone's got the essay at the bottom. And that's it. Now, some of them may have an extra tweet in. So let's have a look. Text stack, local format. Local formatting might have it. No, local formatting didn't have it, but one of them did. About 3 or 4 of them, like that one. So this one's talking about understanding styles. So it makes sense to put that third tweet in. So what I did with that is actually write the tweet up in hand and download the image from YouTube, which means I can download it and post it from there. And you've got the essay at the top and you've got the content at the bottom. And that's what it looks like when it's totally finished. Now, is it worth it? Well, I know how bad the first cohort was. Nearly killed myself trying to get that complete. And I don't think I've ever gone back and put it in any kind of sensible order. Which means, I mean, there's not a problem with it because I did chip 30. I did 30 for 30. No problem. But it would be much more difficult to repurpose that content. And I don't mean just copy and paste it for a second time. I mean, there's stuff that I've got in there, like the secret of object styles, 5 ways to get more out of them. I could turn that into a YouTube video. Oh, a dirty hack. Don't we all love dirty hacks? So I could turn that into a YouTube video with very little effort. But if I can't find it because I had it in a text file and then I saved it somewhere, then it isn't going to get done. So for repurposing perspective, it's great to have a system where you can go back and look at it. For me, that's going to turn up in Obsidian, and obviously it's going to turn up in here when I actually look for it. That is the bit that I use. That keeps me on track for my content for 30 days. But there is a second aspect to it, which is Ship 30 is a full course. There are 2 sessions a week. There's extra sessions, there's written content, and they provide you with a full course guide. You can download it as a PDF, you can download it as a Word file, I think. You've got a Google link if you want that. Or you can hook into and make a copy of a Notion version of it, and that is what I've got in there. So in addition to me tracking my output, if we look at the course guide, which is the actual course guide, you can see where it comes from. Then you've got the README, which does the explaining, and there's the version in PDF format and docx format. But I'm interested in the Notion format, and this is the Notion format. So it tells you, make sure you join the community, download the course checklist, and that is a link. So I would go to that, which is in Circle, which is a platform for online courses. And when I get to that link, it will have in there what I need to click to download it. This is onboarding week. So a lot of this is completing things, downloading things like badges, all kinds of stuff, your social blog. So you're not writing for this first 6 days. You are just completing tasks. But it's great to be able to tick them off. Make sure that you've done it. And then you get on to week 1. You've got to ship your first essay. So this is day 1 of shipping, which was Saturday the 7th. So once you've shipped your essay, put tick in the box. Attend the live session. So there was a live session on that Saturday. When you've done that, tick the box. Then you can claim your digital writer's badge. So if you claim all of these badges, you get put into a draw for free prizes. So that's why you do the gamification. Then there's some optional content, which is read the text-based curriculum. And there's 2 of those. So there is the live session deep dive and a text-based curriculum. And not only do I read them, but if you look underneath them, you can see I've created pages in here, and that is the content. So if I wanted to see what that content was, there it is. There's all the content that I need to be familiar with to get the best out of what I'm writing. So I take that content and I put it in here so it's all in one place, ready for me to consume it. So that's why these have a little hat next to them, mortarboard, because it's the content that I have created, but I put the tick in the box, and once there's a tick in the box, I know that the bit underneath it is the actual content. And so forth. You go through like that. You can see some days, like day 7, there's loads of things to do. Other days, just ship your essay. And what you're aiming for is that everything has a tick in it. I think this is the first time every single thing has had a tick in it for me. What I skipped before was I went and I read these things, but I didn't internalise it by including it in my notes. But this time, everything in there has got a tick. And this is Captain Table's onboarding week, which is next week. And then you can say if you got your badges. Oh, I did. I got all my badges, so I need to tick that as well. Oh, there's this as well, which is a table at the bottom, which looks really pretty, doesn't it? It's nice, that. But I can't work out how you get an X in the box. It looks like it's a graphic. I'd much rather be able to put a tick in a box, but you've got that as well. But I shipped for all of them, and I know that. So that is what that looks like. And as I go through this next week, I'll probably put ticks next to all of that as well. Do we have any questions on that?
Pandemonium says that's really impressive. That is most impressive, Elaine.
It's really to keep yourself on track, because otherwise it's very easy to get overwhelmed. We were discussing, oh, you can go away, Siri. We were talking, weren't we, about people asking the wrong questions and focusing on the wrong thing. If you were doing this, so at the end of it, you can say, look, aren't I clever? Wrong way of thinking about it. Literally, this was to keep me on track, because I knew from the first cohort, it can get away from you fast. You think to yourself, oh, it's only onboarding week, I'll do day 1 tomorrow. And before you know it, it's day 5 and you're playing catch up. And you're thinking, have I got this badge? Did I do that? Have I posted this? So really, it was needed to keep me on track. But I would suggest if you do any cohort-based thing like that, to build something similar. They gave me that one that you're looking at there, but I built the other one. And I built the other one initially to track one single cohort. And then I realised, why don't you put all the cohorts in the same table? And then when you've done 2 cohorts where there's an overlap, which there was with this one and last August, where they were both about Affinity Publisher, you'd have the 60 pieces of content available rather than working in 2 tables. So it was needed, Pandemonium. Focus is everything. It is. So with this, it's part of content creation, but it's got its own dashboard. When I'm focusing on this, I'm not focusing on anything else. And it is just to help you finish it. It would be a shame to go into it and then, like fail. But one of them in October, I never backfilled this properly, was day 19. You can see day 19 has got its own exclamation mark, and I haven't had the time to fill that in. But what happened on day 19 was I thought to myself, I'll get clever and I'll do a Twitter thread. And I did. And it posted, and it didn't recognise it on TypeShare. So I ended up having to write something in 2 minutes that was a woe is me post, what I call a woe is me post. And a woe is me post is, it's 5 to midnight and I've got nothing and I don't want to not ship. So I see so many posts that were like, I've had a really hard day and the children were crying and this happened and that happened and this is my essay. And I say to Mike, oh, look, a woe is me post. So it came to day 19 and I thought, oh, the shame. I'm going to have to do a woe is me post. And I did. And I've got it saved somewhere, but obviously it's not in there, is it? I would suspect that's in Obsidian somewhere, so I should paste it in. But it basically said, oh no, it's 5 to midnight and I have shipped today and TypeShare hasn't recognised it. So I'm writing this woe is me post. I published that and it recognised it. So I did do it, but I didn't backfill it into here. But it's those kind of things. I mean, if that had have happened and I hadn't have had this system, I wouldn't have been able to tell you it was day 19 and I need to go and backfill that, would I? But that's what happened. So we got any questions about that?
Not about that.
Have we got questions about other things?
Yes.
Go on.
Patience is asking what is ChatGPT. GPT, not GPT.
Yeah, that's something entirely different, Mike. ChatGPT is an AI thing. It's like a chat. It looks like chat. You join the thing and you ask it questions. You could ask it to write you a lesson plan. So give me a title of a lesson plan. Oh, Carol says hers was a woe is me. That's not a problem. That's just what we call it, Carol. It's got to be done, hasn't it? No, it's some woe and me post. Honestly, it's like I've had a really bad day, but this is my post, and that's it. I thought, I don't think I could do that. And then it happened to me, and I'm like, I've got 3 minutes. I've got nothing I can say in 3 minutes. So I'll just say it. So I'm calling this a woe is me post and did it like that. Right, give me a some kind of lesson plan title or something. Right, so what you do with ChatGPT is you ask it questions, you talk to it. You could say to it, give me an outline for a geography lesson for 12-year-olds about Australia. And it would write you an outline. And the quality of that outline will depend on the precise wording that you put in. But it learns and you can guide it. And if you do, the content that comes out is pretty impressive. It's very similar to what we looked at in Notion and Craft, the AI in there, but this is a standalone thing. It's been in the news all week because Google demonstrated theirs and it did that badly. It knocked $1 million off their valuation. Microsoft demonstrated it in Bing and people were commenting how awful Bing looked because they'd sacked all the designers. So Bing looks like an engineer's designed it. So it's been comical this week. It's all about that. Right, Carol says a wildlife photography course for beginners. Right, let's have a look. Let's stick it at the bottom here. Now, I'm not using ChatGPT for this. I'm just going to use the AI in here. And I won't say the AI is critical these days, but if you look at it, it says type space for AI. Now, obviously, that comes up if I put the slash in. It's the first thing. So it's really an acknowledgement that this is the future. This is what's going to happen. Now, if I ask the AI to write something, so I go in here and I'm now going to ask the AI to write something. Let's take the photography thing, but let's do it really badly. Course outline for wildlife photography. Oh no, birds. Is it birds? Let's have a look. Nope, just wildlife. Right, wildlife photography. So that's about the minimum words I could give it. Right, I'm going to copy that so we know what we asked it and then press enter. And it comes up with, it doesn't do bad. It doesn't do bad, does it? All right, so we've got about 5 points there. So let's say done to it, and it actually says at the top what it is. Now, what I prefer to do is put in what the prompt was so we can compare. Right? It's basically taken what I've asked it and used that as the title. But if you are more precise with it, Carol can tell us how good that is. But if you are more precise with it, it will be more precise with you. So that was what we asked it. But if we're better at it and we ask it to write a course outline for a wildlife photography course to be delivered online and say it's 3 hours in length. Right, so that's a much better prompt. Let's see what it comes up with this time. It'll probably include pretty similar content. I have seen it do it where it breaks it up. What it's done with that is it's put final project in it. So it's longer, but you can see it has accepted the fact it's a 3-hour course. I have seen really, really good outlines. Put it like that. Where did I put that? Let me see if I can find the outline I asked it to make earlier. Because I don't think I put it in the right place. I was just playing around with it. I got it to do all kinds of weirdness. Right, here you go. Let me take this prompt and see how it comes, how it does. Let's go bring it back. Right, this was the prompt that I put in before, and I may get a completely different answer, but this was what I asked it to do. Let's do the AI, ask it to write. That's what I asked it to write. A detailed outline for a 3-hour introduction to Affinity Publisher to be delivered online. Let's see what it comes up with. Oh, it's been short today. Final project. Yeah, that's not what it came up with before. So if you look at that, that to me is not a detailed outline. That's not the kind of detailed outline I'm after. That's what it's managed this time. Let me go get the other one. Can we drill down into it? I'll copy it. That's what we'll do. Oh, can we just bring that on? What are you doing? And I want you full screen. There we go. So you can see I've put in exactly the same thing, but it was obviously in a better mood. And it's broken it up into 6 sections. And it's even put oh, that's the Power BI one. Hang on. Right, it's that one there where it says break 15 minutes. Session 1, session 2. There it is. That one. So I typed exactly the same. Got something wholly different. So keep trying, basically. But I was impressed with that. I thought that was pretty decent. And that is what ChatGPT does. What is inside Notion is a version of AI. And as you can see, you get different results depending on the time of day. So I would say just keep trying with it. If you're interested in that, we can do a session on it. That was the session that I attended today. And it was very, very good. It was excellent. And that was me playing around while I was in this session, working out what it could and couldn't do. So if you were going to ask it to do a lesson plan for, is it a year? K something, isn't it? There's a number. Is it K12?
K12, isn't it?
Yeah, I've no idea what that works out to in our thing over here. But I think we used to have infants and juniors and high school, didn't we? But now it is all year 1.
That was in my day.
Yes, it was in my day. So if somebody says like year 3, I'm thinking, oh, they're 14, but they're not. No, they're 8. So it's all changed since my day. But, if you wanted to say to it for a year 8 student or a 12-year-old, it would adjust that accordingly. So you can't ignore it. Nobody's going to be able to ignore this because there'll be so much content that is written with this system online. You'll be bombarded with it. The quality of it is
questionable.
Yes. Some of the stuff I asked it, I took on board what they told us today about specificity. I didn't say that right, did I? You know what I mean. Be specific when you're asking it something. So I thought, right, let's do the Munich air crash thing again, but we'll be specific. I gave it a lot of information. I said the Manchester United team were involved. I gave them the year, etc. It came back and what it wrote was decent enough English, but yet again, it said the flight took off from London and crashed in Munich. I thought, no, it didn't. It took off in Belgrade. They landed in Munich and it was taking off from Munich when it crashed. London had nothing to do with it. And even then, was the intention they were flying back to Manchester?
Yes.
So what London has got to do with this, I have no idea. But, it didn't do a factually good job. But in terms of the language, it did a great job. So we're not all out of a job yet. Let's put it like that. The factual element of it needs checking. And, of course, the personality that good writing has to come from you. You can ask it to write in a style. But even then, it would be copying somebody else. You need to inject your own style into it. But it is very, very powerful. So we can look at that again if you like. Right, Patience says, you think it's neat, but felt you'd much rather be responsible for your own research. Depends what the research is. One of the examples they gave today was 5 times in history that a certain share price dropped. And it did really well. It came back and it was very, very good. And then the question was, why did the shares drop? And that would be, a good few hours of research. So it gave you when, and you would need to then go and research it. So if you ask it to rewrite it, but with the dates and why, what the reason for the drop in the share price was, it did just that. And you don't need to sit there and research for 2 hours because it did it. Now, you may need to check how factually accurate it is based on the air crash, which is like my litmus test for it. Because another thing was, I asked it about Duncan Edwards, and it said he died in the crash, but it did say he survived initially. He was one of the last ones taken out of the plane, and he went to hospital and he died a few days later. Now, I don't know how accurate you think that is. He did not die a few days later. He died 2 weeks later. And it said he died along with 8 of his colleagues. And I thought, no, there were 8 players who died, so he died with his 7 colleagues. So it's just a little bit slipshod, shall we say. But it's only going to get better. And like I say, you can't ignore it. Okay. Richard says there's going to be major issues around exam papers moving forward with AI. It's going to be interesting, but apparently schools, I saw this on the news about a week ago, schools have been given access to some other AI system that can spot an AI system. So it's the AI spying on the AI, which is genius. This is genius. So we'll have to see. It really is. It depends on the quality of the questions. And as you've just seen, you know, tonight it can't be bothered. It gave me 5 bullet points. But earlier today, it gave me all of that. Obviously, I'm only using the one in Notion right now. And I think ChatGPT is probably better. But there is a paid-for version at £20 a month. So it should be better, shouldn't it? Right. Okay, then if we do not have any more questions about that, I will move on. Right, this one's short and sweet. This is how to edit your macOS dictionary. Now, I've said edit, and it is how to edit it. But it's beyond that. It's one of the things I don't actually bother backing it up. I make a copy of it every now and then, but you see, I don't bother doing it deliberately because I have a backup of my system. That's why I needed a hard drive yesterday, because one broke. I mean, it's got no moving parts. I don't know how it can break, but it did. It wouldn't recognise it. I tried a different case and I tried a different machine and it just wouldn't recognise it. So that meant a new drive, but it would probably be a good idea to back this file up. So it's the dictionary file that is on your system. You may not have it if you've never added a word to the dictionary, but if you have, then you will do. And it couldn't be easier to edit it and or back it up. So all we need to do is open up a Finder window, which it's happily done off screen. There we go. So let's take that so we can see it. You need to use the Go option and hold down the Option key so you can see the library. No Option key, Option key. Go to the library. Where I went wrong last week was I was in the application support folder. You do not need to be in the application support folder. You need to be in the library folder. And as you scroll down, you will find spelling there. And it is in there. So if I open that, yours may differ. The local dictionary is by far the biggest file of the 3 that are custom. So I have EN for English, I have ENGB, and I have local dictionary. And I've actually opened all of these just to have a look at them. They open up in a text editor. I have no idea which application I added VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP, but that's where it's put them. So that's what's in that one. That one, why have you opened on the other screen? There you go. Ermintrude, Goombay. This is looking a bit MacBites, isn't it? Rewilding and Shergar. And you'll see I've got these 2 in here again. So I don't know why I have 2 of them with a handful of items in. That I don't know. But this one is the biggest local dictionary. So if I open that one up, you can see I've got a lot of stuff in there. So I've added things like That's a TV programme that I watched. I must have been mentioning Pierce Brosnan or something to have that one in there. This is somebody from a cohort-based course that I'm in. You've got Clippy that I've probably talked about. And all I do is right-click on it and say Add to Dictionary. Learn. And I've even got things in here that, you know, I just don't want them marked as an error. Fezziwig, we must have added that when I was looking at the Christmas Carol. So this is the stuff I've got in here. Loads and loads of stuff. The old Razzle Dazzle's in there as well. So 338 entries. Now, if I lost that, if this machine just decided it wasn't going to reboot one day. And I don't have this anywhere else that I could get it from. It wouldn't take long to be adding these things. I mean, some of these, like this lot, are only in there because I spell them with a Z, which I know you do stateside, but we don't here. It's an S. But Oxford English Dictionary says it's a Z, so I use a Z. So I have to add these or they're marked as misspellings. So, and words like scrivening and scrivenings, Scrintle, which is an app, I have added. It wouldn't take long to add them back. It would just be annoying, but nothing more serious than that. But, you know, if you've got 1,000 of them or you've got a specialist medical dictionary in here, you would want to be able to transfer them across. So it couldn't be easier to transfer them. You literally take these files and put them on the other machine. As long as you put them in the spellings folder, you're good to go. You could create a backup that backed up the spelling folder in its entirety, and then you would have somewhere to pull that from. I don't do that because I back up the hard drive every single day. And I know that I would have access to these files in there. I could back them up individually, but I like to leave it because I don't want to sit there and think I'm backing up absolutely everything, so I don't need a backup of the drive. I would much rather say I've backed up the entire drive, and if this machine needs to go away for repair or whatever, and it comes back and it's blank, I'd build it up again, but I would go and buy another backup drive. I wouldn't overwrite that backup drive. It would sit there for 2, 3, 4 years before I decided that, you know, I've not needed anything in 4 years, I'll wipe it and start again. But if you just want to back up these, you just want to make a copy of them, it's really simple. All I would do is just compress them. There's my archive. I would say that's spelling as at a date and time. And then I would put that somewhere in Dropbox. And that's it. It's backed up. If you've added something and you've made a mistake, then you can edit these, you know. So let's take... Should we try Zotero? Right, let's take that out and save the file. And then if I add in here, if we put Zotero in there and we run the spelling, so spell check that, it will mark it as a misspelling because it's no longer in the dictionary. Obviously, to get it in the dictionary, you've got 2 options. You can right click on here and you can say add it, and that will be added. The other option in the local dictionary is to paste it back in and save it. And when you run that spelling in there, it's no longer a misspelling. Now, you do have to be fairly careful with this. It is a system file, so don't tinker with it unless you've backed it up, but it is that simple to edit it. The one thing that got me was on iOS. If you have something that you want adding on iOS, I found the easiest way to do it, and it completely does my head in, is that I have to go to Pages and I type the word in and then I tell it to learn it. And if I then, you know, like 3-4 weeks later, I'm like, I don't want that word in there anymore. I have to go back to Pages and type it in and then tap on it and do some kind of incantation until I can see take it out of the custom, you know, unremember or something it's called. I'm old school. I like to see the file, the whole thing, and just copy it, edit it, paste it. I mean, I've even added in here YYYYMMDD because I don't like to see it underlined as a spelling mistake in Obsidian. And I've got that in Obsidian all the time. But that is how you do it. That is where it is. That is how you back it up. Who's been backing that up? Oh, Clippy. Renee, Clippy was mentioned today in that webinar. That ChatGPT is basically Clippy on steroids, and pretty much it is. So, you got any questions about the dictionary and backing it up?
Yeah, there's 2 questions.
Right.
Well, one question here. Carol says, how did you get the library to show up again?
You hold the Option key down. So when you go to Go in the Finder, it's not there. But if you hold the Option key down, library appears. So it's the middle key, Control, Option and Command. It's the middle one. And that will take you there. In fact, that option key is so useful. If you find yourself struggling with anything, just hold the option key down and see what happens. There was a tip the other day. This at the bottom where you can see the path, the breadcrumb trail at the bottom. By default, that's not turned on. But if you want to see it, you can hold the option key down, apparently. Now, obviously, I've got it turned on. I think that works in dialog boxes. So the option key is your friend. Wherever you are, just hold the option key down and see what it does. See if it does something magical. Right, what else have we got?
Richard says, is it as easy to open the dictionary in Windows?
The last time I would have done that is... What is it now, Mike?
2023.
Yeah, 17 years ago.
Does Windows have like a...
It does. It does. And I remember seeing it. I think I opened it in Notepad. The issue I've got is I can't remember where it is. But if you do the Googles, I'm sure somebody will have said something, if it's possible. It used to be possible, but we're talking... What version of Windows were we using when we left? What was that one nobody liked?
Vista.
Yeah, it was before that. So what was the one before Vista?
ME.
Oh, no, I didn't use that. That was a toy. What was the one before that? Was it Windows? Was there a Windows 2002? Or could it have been 2000? I was clinging on.
2000 could have been 2000.
Yeah. In the version I had back in 2006 when I switched, you could do it. But I don't know now if you can do it or not. I would suspect you could, but I don't know where the file is. All right. Have we got anything else?
Yeah. Joe says, is there a way to use Zotero in Affinity Publisher? The demo of the footnotes function in the Serif video looked unimpressive.
It was copy and paste, wasn't it? Which is pretty much how you do it.
XP.
Oh, Windows XP. Good grief, you're right.
Jamie says XP.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent catch there. Yes, it was XP that I had. That was the one that looked like Teletubbyland, wasn't it? And I wanted the old interface. I wanted it to look like it was the 90s had called.
Patience says Millennium.
No, I didn't have the Millennium one. I'm sure I didn't. I didn't like the interface, but you're right. It was Windows XP. Can I just say Windows 98 was the height of Windows? It was like Windows 95.
Like Snow Leopard was
yes. Windows 98 was Windows 95 polished. And after that, it was all downhill. I mean, you've got Windows 11 now. And how many times did I say to you during that conference, I'd not seen one person at Windows 11, the big thing that they demonstrated, that, not Sinofsky, was it Sinofsky? No, the other fella. The one who always looks really serious. Yeah. We've moved the start button to the middle, and there wasn't one person at this conference who hadn't moved it back to the left, which, to be honest, when you're working with Windows, is exactly where it should be. So everybody just moved it back. So even Windows 11, I'm still on 10. But there you go. You see, Jamie loved XP and 98. They were just perfect. 98 was what 95 should have been. I mean, they were ahead of their time because in 95, they had live updating widgets on your desktop, which, who thought they were a good idea with dial-up at 5p a minute? Really? But now that would be amazing. They no longer exist now. But, what were they thinking? In the same way, Apple had those widgety things, didn't they? The float over things. You could have countdowns and stuff. And they took them away. And what have we got now? That start pad thing with all the massive icons on. Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
The one where you press F4?
Yeah, never use it. I disabled it. Don't care. Never want to see it. Launchpad. That's it.
Looks like a big iPad.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Pandemonium's still got the introduction to Windows 98 manuals. One day, you'll be able to train ChatGPT AI with those. One day.
Did you answer the Zotero question?
Zotero at the moment is copy and paste. Will they ever add the ability to do anything else? Not imminently, no. Not imminently, I would say. Scrivener's got the same issue. It's very manual. And I don't see that changing, at least in the near future. Right. New toy. Who's up for a new toy? Microsoft Designer. Let's set some expectations, shall we? It's not Affinity Designer. Not by any way, shape or form, is it? But it has potential. So it was announced last October, and we all signed up for early access with no idea of when that would be. If you haven't got an invitation, then you need to go to designer.microsoft.com. If you log in, it will know if you've been invited or not. But if you haven't, it will put a message up saying there's a wait list and join the wait list. So let me know in the chat who's got access to this already and who hasn't. Let me know. I need to know these things. Oh, widgets are dead in Android as well. Not on. Right, so that's where you need to go for it. They are rolling out invitations in batches as we speak. So as you can see, mine arrived Wednesday it was. So it said, the wait's over, you're in. I did go and have a look about a week before, but I don't think that made a difference because Mike got his invitation same time I did. Which was good because the Hindenburg fiasco, of which I'll tell you more next week, I didn't get a mail at all. So I could have been very grumpy. Really bad words could have been said. So what is Microsoft Designer? It is an online only in the browser design application. There isn't a mobile version yet. So if you are iPad only, you're going to be grumpy. Other than that, as long as you've got a desktop, Mac or PC or Linux, doesn't matter because it runs in the browser. You could, on your iOS device, go to the site and see the little snotogram message telling you to use a proper computer. You could, that we're looking at there is Firefox, but the burger menu in the lower right, if you tap that, there is an option to request the desktop site. If you do that, it works. It doesn't work great on the phone because you literally only see the left-hand side of the interface, but on an iPad it's workable. So there is a workaround. You would need to request the desktop site. I use Firefox, that's where it is in Firefox. I have no idea where it is in Safari, but I know it is in Safari. And if you use anything else, it depends if you're going to have the feature. So let's go and have a look at what it can do. So I had that preloaded somewhere. Let's no, let's not do that. Where are we? Had it in a browser. So is it that one? Oh, it is. Jolly good. Right. That's what it looks like when you land. Now, if you've not accepted your invitation or whatever, you may have a couple of hoops to jump through before you start. But that is what it will look like. Now, it's very AI focused. So as I said, don't expect any competition with Affinity Designer or Adobe Illustrator. It's because the competition for this is twofold. It's Canva and it's Adobe Express. Now, Canva has its own free account. It also has paid for options. But Canva has such breadth and depth. It's amazing in terms of what it can create. It can do videos, it can do presentations, you name it. This is focused really on single images for social. At the moment, it's completely free. Now, there is a free version of Canva. This is free while it's in preview. Once it goes out of preview, the idea is it will become part of Microsoft 365, which is the thing that used to be Office 365, which we got for £42 a year. And you would then have the Pro account. Now, whether they would do another level of Pro account that you need to pay extra on top of, I don't know. But they are saying that there will be a free level, but the people with a Microsoft 365 account will have access to more. The Adobe version, which is Adobe Express, there is a free version, but to get access to everything that's in it, you need to have a Creative Cloud subscription, and then it's included free, or you need a paid account. So it looks like that's where they're going with it. Now, the difference with this is they have what they call Designer Copilot at the top, and it's saying, let's start with your content. What it's asking you to do is create content from AI. So it's enabling you to start off by actually asking it for something, describing the design that you would like to create. So as an example, I asked it something very specific and it did a really good job. So let's see if it can do a really good job, because the thing is, this is random. It's AI, it depends what time of day it is and what mood it's in. But you can see on the right-hand side, it's saying, describe what you want to create, a Valentine's Day design or whatever. Well, I asked it for something very specific, which we can see later, but I asked it for a panda dancing in a tutu. And it gave me several pandas dancing in tutus. So what I can ask it this time, let's say I'm looking for a panda with roses for Valentine's Day. And let's see what it comes up with. Oh, it's always dangerous. One thing to mention, well, it has a think about it, because it is thinking about it at this point. There you go. And it comes up with some designs. Mike, take note, pandas, Valentine's Day, just saying. ChatGPT and probably some of the other AI engines, how delicately to put this, they have been de-adulted. They have had content of an adult nature removed. So don't be silly and ask it for naughty things, because it doesn't understand naughty things. Or that's at least what they say. If you want to have a go with it, let me know how that goes. But what we've got over here now is some suggestions. So some of these don't have pandas in. Some of them are just plain Valentine stuff. Others do have pandas in. Now, at this stage, you can click this so you can see it, and then you can customize it if you want to. You can also change the size. So these would be square for Instagram, but you do have a couple of options up here. But notice, only a couple of options. It's really annoying, because you can have square, you can have landscape that is the size for a Facebook ad, or portrait for an Instagram story, which is grand, but not what I want. If I wanted this for a 16:9 slide, I'd have to do it a different way. This only gives me these three options, but I could at least say landscape, and it's going to go away and have another think about it and then come back. So it's the same content, really. They've just stretched it out a bit. So this one's not too bad, is it? That's got a panda on it. This one's a real panda, so I quite like him as well. So you choose the design from in here, and you can then customize it. Now, you also have over here other stuff that you could do. So you could add your own images if you've got any from this device. You can add them from your phone. If you've already uploaded media, you can do that. You can even start with, now this is an AI generated image, but I've actually described a whole design rather than just an image. And you can then hit the generate. But that's the idea. So I've chosen this one, and I'm going to customize the design, which will take it into here. Oh, isn't he cute? I'm liking that. He's cute. Right. Oh, thank you for that, Joe. Joey's explaining where the desktop request thing is in Safari. I've not used Safari in years, not a clue. So thank you for that. Right, what you've got in here is a very basic interface. It reminds me of Canva 3-4 years ago. You've got the designer option at the top. It's telling you that you are in preview, and it's telling you that this is an unsaved design at the moment. So I can, from in here, click the drop down. I can start a new design from here, or I can view my existing designs, but I can also rename. So this would be a good time to say Valentine the panda. So Valentine panda. Right, and now I've named that file. Moving across here, you've got the view percentage. So I could zoom to fit. I think I could get a bit more out of that, but it doesn't think so. That's probably a bit too big, but this is where you would zoom. You've got undo and redo, and you can preview. So if you preview, you can see that this actually has some animation in it as well. So you can preview that. You can create a new design here, and we'll look at the rest of these when it's relevant, because at the moment we want to edit this design rather than download it as is, because it's just decided to do this. I don't think that green colour is particularly Valentine's Day, but I do like the fact it says love is in the air at the bottom, don't you, Mike? So you have what's called Copilot, which is on the right-hand side. And Copilot is options that you can use to change your design. So think of Copilot as a Copilot, an AI assistant to assist you. Now, if you've used PowerPoint, PowerPoint has had in a design assistant for years. Most of the time, I remember saying to you, how do I turn this off? Because this is driving me insane. But it comes up automatically in a panel when you add an image, and it makes suggestions as to how you could lay out the content of the slide. This is using exactly that technology, but in a browser, in a design app. But that's the technology. So coming down into the canvas area, you can see if I hover over this, I get a border on it. When I click and move away, the border stays with it because now I'm in background mode. So up here, you can see this is where it's getting the green from. So if I click on that, it pops up these colours. So the first set of colours at the top are the colours that are in this design. So we've got this very pale green as the background. We've got the kind of burnt look, which is the Happy Valentine's Day. And this very deep green is the Love is in the Air. So if you wanted the background to be one of these colours, you'd lose the text. But you can choose some of the others. It's also picked out some colours from the photo, which being a panda is pretty black, white, grey. I think it needs jazzing up a bit and be more like this, which means we lose the text. But I can then select the text, and as soon as I make my selection, you can see I get a completely different set of options. It's offering me to keep the text, but not only change the colour, which I can do from up here, but it's also got a whole range of different looks for that text as well. So we'll change the colour first so we can see it, remember what it looked like. So let's go back over here and choose a white like that so we can see it. But like I say, with it selected, you've got options in terms of fonts here where you can filter for display or it being friendly or fun or handwritten, whatever type of font you're looking for. And then as you look down here, you see examples of it. Shall we see if we can get pop-ins? Because I had mixed success here. I put in pop-ins and the first 3 were pop-ins, but they didn't give me a standard pop-ins. So let's try. No, it gives me black, extra bold or extra light, and I'm like, I just want something in the middle. But I'll go for extra light. You can see it coming now. It's totally inappropriate. It's too big. I've got stuff hanging off the bottom, but you can go through these and audition each and every one. I want pop-ins. I want the right pop-ins. Although these don't look bad, do they? Let's have a look. If we go there and we look for... no. Oh, can't we see something that's like appropriate for this? Would you say friendly? No, it looks like a primary school. No, and I don't want fun either. What have we got under handwritten? That one's not bad. Though you can't read it, but you get the idea. It's showing you the font itself. It's showing you a preview. And as soon as you click the option in the list, it applies it on the canvas. So everything that you can do in Canva that you're used to doing, you know, if you select the text, the options change. It's very, very similar, isn't it? If you can use Canva, you can use this. Trust me. Now, there's also the option to inspire me at the top, which has got the AI logo on it. I think 2023 is going to be the year of AI. And it'll be fine if you treat it correctly. The machines are taking over. So what it's done now is it's changed it to this font, thinking that suits it in some kind of way. Or you can go back, like, no, that didn't work. So now I think that was the original one, isn't it? So you get the idea with all of this. In addition to the colour for the font, you've got the colour, you've got the actual font, you've got the size of it, you've got whether it's centred, it's left, it's right, bold, italic, underline, strike through. You can even change the position of it in terms of the Z order. So bring it forward, bring it to the front, send it to the back, or send it backwards. So if you had one of these kind of over this, it makes sense to have that at the front. But if that had come in and it was at the back, so send it to back, then you wouldn't be able to see it. So this is where you would do that. So let's pop that back down there. And you can see as you're doing this that you're also getting snapping lines. So if I do that, you can see there is a red line down the middle of the panda. That is snapping to that image. If I move it ever so fractionally, it changes to a purple line. It goes right from top to bottom, which means it's centered on the slide. I have no idea why the image isn't centered on the slide, but you get the idea. You can also change the opacity of these things. I mean, it wouldn't make much sense to do this maybe in this design, but you can change the opacity. And obviously you can do all of that in relation to anything else. So if you were selecting this and you wanted to change the font in there, the same principles apply. So if I wanted that more of a design thing like that one, I would probably then want to make that bigger. So nice slider to make it bigger. If it doesn't then fit, change the size of the box and drag it into position using those purple lines to make sure that it's centered on the slide. And that green colour is shockingly bad, isn't it? So I think we'd have to go for that. I don't think with the background some of these would work terribly well. But you get the idea. Right. So that's editing one. We started off by asking it to do something. So I think this is the kind of design tool that you'd like. Where you just... Elaine likes pandas. Make a panda image. Make me look good.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's about. It's making a good starting point. Now, you've also got in here... So that's making some manual changes to something that you asked it to start with. But across here you have templates. So if you wanted to start from one of their templates, rather than asking it anything, you can do that. And obviously at the moment, all of these are included. What percentage of these will be part of a paid plan if you do not have Microsoft 365, I don't know. And I'm sure they will add to them as they go along. If you think about Canva 3-4 years ago, that's probably where we're at here. You've then got your media. These are my dancing pandas. I asked it for a panda in a tutu and I got a panda in a tutu. In fact, I got 3. So where it says My Media, you can upload from this device your phone, Google Drive, Dropbox or Google Photos. These were added in here because I asked the AI to make them and it automatically added it. I'm presuming I can drag and drop that on. There we go. Now this one's actually saying that I could knock the background out. So would you like to blur the background or remove the background? Well, removing the background might be good. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm impressed. Now obviously the panda's foot's missing, so I'll have to put the panda down the bottom, but there we go. So that's the media. So it made those for me. Let's take this one, add that one and see if we can knock the background out on that. That'd be trickier. That would be trickier, but it's not done a bad job. And we'll put that dancing panda at the top. Oh, this is grand. Who doesn't want to have this kind of fun on a Friday night? Okay, so that's your media. And of course you can say, inspire me and it'll go away and find something else. That's not the best image because it looks like an alien. Yes, it's missed the head off. Right, so that was my media. Then you've got visuals. Now visuals, I've seen these be the background mainly. So you can generate an image by asking it for something. You can use the photos. So here were the photos. Because of the design that's there, it's picked up on, you're back to the AI aspect of it. It's picked up the red, the Valentine, the love aspect of it, and that's why it's offering me these kind of images. But you can see there's also one that I use that's got paper aeroplanes on it. So it says you used this one recently, you might want to use that again. And it's got my love and relationships, and then it veers off into games and all kinds of other stuff. You've also got graphics. So again, if you've used Office, this should be looking fairly familiar. In Office, you have photos, you have icons, you have graphics, and that's what it's giving you here. So again, you've got some of these. Let's make this really bad and put that over there. like that. If you're wondering what that grey thing is that's popping up, that's Eagle insisting that it wants it. Right, and you've got videos if you want to put videos in there. Some of these are just scary though, aren't they? Like this one with the eyes. So this is the visual aspects that you've got to add. You also have access to text. And these are really good because when you drag them on, this is starting to look really bad, isn't it? But if you wanted to drag them on here, it drags them on in the style, in the colour that is over here. And then you can apply different ones to them. But if we go back to the text, these are really good for social. So if you say, no, we've launched this, it's available now, or it's coming soon. Like Peter's Dirty Hack, it's coming soon, Peter, because the dogs have shamed me now. Then you can literally just drag these on and you will get them in the format that they're previewed over here. And then if you want to make changes beyond that, you can do that. So I think they're really good. I like those. Then you have styles. So moving down to styles, you can create your own brand kit, which is something that both Canva and Adobe Express do, which is you can choose your fonts, you can choose your colours, and you can see it's giving you some examples there as well. I don't think any of these are particularly screaming I'm Valentine at me. A couple of them are saying St. Patrick's Day, maybe. I guess the nearest we've got is that one. Now, this gives you the option here to shuffle the colours, and you'll notice it also changes all the fonts and everything as well. I don't think that's an improvement. I thought it was bad enough to start with. But that's the idea of what you can do there. So if you want some kind of consistency, you can do that. But shall we take that back to how horrific it already was? We'll change that purple to white while we're at it. And we'll make it a bit smaller. Right, so we've been through the options that you've got over on this side. You can see Copilot at this stage is now making different suggestions based on the content that you have added to this. I'm not sure any of that would be an improvement, but you know, let's just try it. And it literally gives you a completely different AI generated thing, which is, again, not an improvement. Don't do that. Mike, don't blindly use that. It's not good. Okay, but we have a design. It may not be the best design we've ever seen, but we have a design. And now you're going to need to download it. So we looked up here in the top right and we said there's a new design option and there's the download option. So we'll go to the download option. You can from here post it straight to social. So obviously that's what they're intending that you do. It's the primary thing for this. So there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn. Or you can download it. Now, the download option depends on how it was you started. So it's recommending an MP4 because there's some kind of animation in it. But you could download it just as an image if you wanted to. We'll do it as an MP4 if that's what it wants. I'm not seeing the thing for a watermark, but we'll remove it. Right, and you can then download it. You can copy the URL to your clipboard or you can send it straight to your phone. Save picture as an MP4. I think this is video, and that's why there is some kind of animation in this. It's a bit odd. I haven't been able to preview it. It previewed at the very beginning, if you remember. It came in and the text appeared. That's why it wants to do it as a video. But eventually that video stops, and what we're left with would be the PNG. But either way, it will download it. So it's calculating. That's not bad. Right, so what it's doing up here is giving you a preview of that. So really, it's just the animation that's on this at the bottom. We'll also, while we're here, download it as a PNG. And we'll remove the watermark and we will download that as well. Right, your design was downloaded. So, somewhere on my other screen, we have the downloads folder. And if I open this, this is the MP4. Right, let's bring it on here. There it is. And it's 1 second long, so don't blink. And there it is. Oh, and then it starts rabbiting on about other things as well. Right. Okay, so that's the MP4. Then we've got the PNG. And the PNG is literally just the frame that it lands on. And there it is. That's it. don't know what the watermark is. Shall we download the image and have a look what the watermark is? Let's not remove the watermark. Download it as a PNG and download it again. There you go, created with Designer. I can't see anybody not removing the watermark, can you? Who would want that on it? Who would want that on it? Right, now, remember, that was starting by describing what you wanted. But if you want to do this more manual, at least in terms of make sure that you start with the right size. That'd be a start, wouldn't it? Then you can say a new design. Right, which should give us an option. Fingers crossed it does, hey? No. Right, but you can. So this is basically where we were before. And it does really tempt you to start with its content. But you can, down the bottom, skip and start from a blank canvas or use a recent design. So I'm going to start with a blank canvas because this is where it lets me choose what size it is. So the first one's the square one, then you've got the Facebook one, then you've got the Instagram one. But you do have at this stage a custom size that you can choose. So I will have it 1080, but in here I will have it 1920, and that will be a 16:9 ratio. So I will create that. And that gives me a completely blank canvas to start from. That does not mean that the AI isn't available to you, but you're not forced into using a size that might not work for your content. So we could still start up here with some templates if we wanted to. Or we could go down to visuals and see what's available. So it initially defaults to video, which I don't get myself. I'd want to add some. Shall we go for a football one? Let's go for a football one. Right, and add that on. Why didn't you add that on? I have to do this even faster. Right. So I can add this, but I can also, as soon as I add something, so I'm saying, oh, this is going to be about football. And I look at that and I think, that's a better image. Maybe I want that one. Oh, they're over there. So this Copilot is watching you and making suggestions as you go. So something like that add your text here thing, that is way bigger than my canvas at the moment. So let me take my canvas down, and I think that's actually hanging off the end. This was something that we did. Is this looking familiar, Mike? We did this for President's Sunday at Hotel Football. So the image is just far too big. In fact, that's not even the image, is it? That's behind the image. So I need to get that out of the way before I can get the image. But we did something like that where we had it quite dark. I definitely don't think we need it that big though. So let's take it down, and that way we can scoot these up. So that's the right height. That looks like that's it for the image. So that's going to be fairly dark there, isn't it? So if I want that less dark, I could pull it off that way and it kind of lightens it up. But I do want it to have a darkness here for the text. But then at least the canvas is the right size and I can then carry on working with that. And, you know, I picked an image over here that wasn't bad, but this is much stronger. So shall we put our President's Sunday thing on? President's Sunday. And if I want that all on one line, just make it big enough and place it there. And if you want it rotated, which not for this, but if you did, and if you hold the shift key, it keeps it straight. And then carry on and design, etc. Everything else is then the same. So the only reason that I would start from scratch is so I've got the canvas the size that I want it to be and not particularly the size that it wants it to be. A couple of other points. If none of these colours are relevant to you, you can pick a colour with the eyedropper. So I could go and I could pick one of these and get a greenish colour. Obviously that doesn't work too well with that particular image, but you can do that if you want. Well, that's interesting. Now it's why have you gone back to Notion? We don't want to go to Notion. Crying out loud. Right, let's get over there and back where we were. We were in here, I think, or weren't we? No, we were there. That's where we were, and I was trying to do that. Right, there we go. We're back where we started from. So it is very much in beta, as you can see. But yeah, it's usable. It's usable. Who would use that? Come on, you're all asleep. Who would use that? Or would you think that maybe Canva's got more options? I would say it's handy to have access to it at the moment because the stock images that you have access to are the Microsoft stock images. Now, one of the things I did in here, so this is how you work between your designs. So I'm going to go to my designs. You can see this is one that's on the canvas right now. This is the one we've created, and this is one that I was playing around with. And one thing I wanted to do was work with this particular image. So when it finally gets there, Jammy would consider it for quick things. Right, this one, I wanted to use the image. And I thought, well, it's probably a stock image. So I went to all the stock sites that I would usually go to. And it wasn't there. And I thought, it's a Microsoft stock image then. And one thing I couldn't do was copy and paste it from in here. So either I had to do the design in here and then export it, but I wanted it a different size. So I was getting grumpy. But one thing that I could do is the stock images you see in here are the same ones you get in Word and PowerPoint and Excel. So I was able to go to PowerPoint, get the same image and copy and paste it where I wanted it. But in terms of, designing a poster or something, you would probably stay in here with it and design it in here. And as you can see, because I've picked that one, you've got recommended for this design over here. So this and this are two other images where the colours match. So if you wanted to create 2 or 3 different posters or promo things for online, you could do that and they would match. It's not bad if it does precisely what you want. Where you're going to struggle with this is if you're used to Canva and you know all that Canva can do, or you're used to doing things manually in Affinity Designer or Illustrator. It's nice that it can help you, but it feels a little bit Fisher Price. Do you remember when Microsoft Publisher, Mike, had that thing?
A little van.
Yeah, they decided that people didn't understand what the cursor was, little arrow. So they put a little removal van next to it when you pick something up to move it in Publisher. It drove me up the pole. Really. It feels a little bit like that. But, for a quick and dirty design, for somebody who isn't a designer, it's great to have access to all of the imagery, but also access to fonts and be able to change the fonts and work with suggestions if you feel that its suggestions are going to be more well received maybe than your design capabilities. But I know that all of you are really good with the design and I know that you don't really need that. But that is Microsoft Designer, brand new out. So who's got access to it already and who's signed up for it? Let me know. Let me know. Do we have any questions while we were going through that?
We don't have any questions.
Right, okay then. So I'll get rid of that and we'll go back into there. Right, I had a very quick thing to cover that I forgot to do because I'm bad and I forgot to do it. Which is last week we were looking at Valentine's Day in Affinity Publisher and I said that you could make templates of it and that I would go back to it and I didn't. So now consider this last week now. Right, very quick, but I have got, let's open up Publisher. Well, Pandemonium says interesting, but not something I would use. I think you're going to have to be in the mindset to use it. So maybe if you are all in with Microsoft, that would work. On the other hand, maybe not. But Canva is, especially if you've got Canva Pro, it can do things that can only think of. Right, I'm opening up the book that we had last week. I've added more to it. So I added all of these. We discussed these things that were available from the stock site. I've created some elements like these elements. This one I've taken away one of the placeholders, so that's in its place. But the rest of this goes across the images. This one, I have taken away some of the placeholders so I can add this in. And any one of these, I added that in, and I've got some more down here. This one has got wrap set, so the text doesn't come into the imagery. And was there one more? Yeah, there was these. So I took the same one as earlier in the book, but this time it's only on that image. So I was saying that once you've got layouts like this, rather than have them in the books, you might want to use them 2 and 3 times. It's better to make them into master pages. So let's try with the really snazzy one, which was this one. So I have been busy. I have. Right, let me add in a master page. So I want it A4, we want it that way, we want it facing, and the margins are the same, so that's absolutely fine. So we've just created another master, which is almost identical to master A. Right, or I could have duplicated master A if I wanted those columns on it. But for what we're doing, it doesn't matter. So what I've got here is all of these elements on here I would like to be a master. So it looks like this, and then I can put in the photo. So very straightforward. Command and A to select all the elements on this spread. Copy it, go into master B. We are going to have to make a couple of slight changes, but it's very quick. I've just pasted that in, and the main change is to get rid of that photo, not the frame. That's the frame. You just want to get rid of the image that's inside it. You can either turn it off, but it's better in this circumstance to delete it. And the reason is, if you look what it looks like when it's turned off, you've got the cross in this one to indicate that's where you put the image, and in this one you've got nothing. So in this circumstance, it's better to actually get rid of that, and then that will turn it into a placeholder. What you would then be able to do, so let's go down here and add a couple of pages in. So we will add 2 pages after page 33, which is this one on the right hand side. And we'll make the master be master B, not master A. And that will ripple through to there, and you can use it. And to do the same with the rest is just a rinse and repeat process. Most of the templates that you will find, including this template, the starting point of this one, don't have them in as master pages. That is up to you to create master pages, because you probably won't want all of these as master pages. And sometimes, you know, if you only want one copy of this spread in there, it may not be worth making it a master page. But for the ones that you do want to rinse and repeat, so let's say like that one, let's just rinse and repeat again. So master C, okay. And which one was that? It was that one. So I've got a couple of hearts hanging down here, and I've got these hearts over here. And do the same again, grab those, go into master C, and paste them in, and you are good to go. Oh, Pandemonium says we'll have to watch on catch up. Oh, thank you very much. Saying you appreciate everything we do. Thank you. You have a good day tomorrow. So once they're master pages, you can then apply them as and when. So just for speed, let's go and add one in. I was going to say just for speed, let's not, but let's do it. Let's do it properly. Otherwise, we're deleting things. So I'll add in 4 pages, and I want them after 35, so my back cover stays where it is. I'll leave it at master A for the moment, so they're blank. But it's very simple to say I want master B on that one. And this one over here, let's say I wanted on this one. On this side of it, I would like the hearts, but on the left side of it, I would like the frame. So what I can do up here is drag that part down to the left-hand side, and I can drag this one down to the right-hand side, and I can mix and match from the master pages. Make them as a spread, but then mix and match at the point that you add them to the document. And that was the bit that I forgot to do. So now you've seen it. So any questions on that? Let me know. Do we have any questions on that?
No.
Or are they just saying good night?
They're just saying good night.
Okay. Right, so that was turning it into a template, but it had the basics as well. Not only are you adding master pages, then you would probably save it as a template, but it enables you to create the mix and match layouts that if you're just duplicating pages, standard pages, not master pages, it makes it more complicated than it needs to be. There's nothing whatsoever to stop you with a layout. So this layout that I had at the top, which wasn't a master page, you know, I could go through this and I could take the one from down here, that one, but I'd have to manually come into here and start deleting content, which with your master pages, you don't need to. So master page is definitely the way to go with it. And then you can mix and match them. Okay, I have saved that. We are on to freebies. Oh, before the freebies even, why aren't you moving? You know you want to. If you want to have a go with that photo book template, you can get it now. Can you make an action item that I include that in the notes? Because, you know, I'll probably forget. I'll put it in the description, a link to it. And you can download that and make whatever you will with it. If you do use it, let me know. Let me show me what you make with it. That'd be grand. Right, freebies. We have 2 freebies. We have a rather quirky font called Beach Gems, which that big looks a bit strange, but when it's smaller, it looks kind of cute. Kind of thing. I should have done a demo of it, shouldn't I? Oh, there's something I can do in the future. Imagine that you've got that, but 3D and twisted onto a beach. It would look amazing. Anyway, it's free. It's a free alphabet font of Beach Gems. And Mikey's putting the link in right now. The next one we've got is backgrounds. Remember how many of them were in there, but there's quite a few backgrounds in there that you can use for anything. So I would use these more for presentation slides than I probably would for anything else. But you can use them in Designer or wherever you would like. So those are our freebies. Right, racing through, heading into Obsidian. So a couple of smallish things to do with admin, and then we can move on to really advanced plugins. Right, with this one, many of you have contacted me because you've seen my real Obsidian, and you have seen my Pomodoro timer, and you want one, and you have been looking for a plugin and can't find it. That's because it's not a plugin. So we will have a look at that. We will also look at one plugin particularly, which is really useful when you start working with a graph-based note system, and that is the orphaned files. Because I will show you the graph in our demo vault, and you'll be horrified. There's thousands of orphaned files. How does it happen? How do we deal with them? So let's go and have a look at that. Right. So first of all, Pomodoro timer. So this is not my real vault. That is our demo vault. So over here, underneath the calendar in my real vault, you know that I have Pomodoro timer. So I'm heading off to find my, there it is. That's my Pomodoro timer. It's not a plugin or an extension of any description that, it's just a page. Right, how does just a page do that? Well, this is actually from a website. So if I actually click in here, if I am able to click in there, and I might not be able to click in there for very good reason, which is I've probably locked it. So I'll get that out of the way and I will show you what we will do with that over here. But first of all, you need a page to put it into. So all it is some code. There it is. Right. All we need is a page. So Command and N will give us a new page. And I think I called it Pomodoro. And then I just put something in the page. But what is the something I need to put in the page? And it's that. So I'm going to move down so you can see it. It is an iframe, which means take whatever the URL is, which in this case is https:// pomofocus.io/app. So take that and embed it in this page. It's as simple as that. You just need that text. That's it. As soon as you move away from that line, so if I move down there and I'm at the very end of it and I press enter, it then takes that and converts it, basically just follows the instructions. Oh, you want this embedded? Great. Now, everything that's in here actually works. So if we start the timer, that works. It starts counting down. You've also got a short break, which, it's warning you, but I will do this anyway. Take a break for 5 minutes, take a long break for 15 minutes, and you'll notice that the colours are changing. So the Pomodoro is red, the short break is green, and the long break is blue. And all you literally need to do is choose whichever one you want and click start, and it starts working. Now you also have options for settings in here. So if you'd rather have a Pomodoro of 20 minutes, you can change it. You can change the break, you can change the long break. You have other things that you can do in here as well. You can change the colours, the format, the whole works. I don't link it in with any integrations or anything else. I don't touch these things at all. You can log in on the site, but I don't even do that. You can put tasks at the bottom and you can add tasks, but I don't bother with that either. I have done. I don't find any value in it. Basically for me, it's going to be a Pomodoro. It's going to be 25 minutes and that's it. But you can if you want. Now, it looks a bit wide at that point, but I obviously want it down here. But there's a few things to think about first. All this business about linked mentions and stuff, I don't want in this page. I don't really want anything that's going to detract from what's there. And on a page-by-page basis, I can say backlinks in document no by taking the tick off it. And now all I've got is the Pomodoro, and that is it. Then all I need to do to get it in the right place is to put that over here. I can drag it and you can see a tiny purple bar. You can also see if I drag it lower down, it would leave me this area and put the Pomodoro underneath. But I actually want it there next to that. And it takes the Pomodoro and it pops it into that area there and we're done. Now, other thing to think about. When I click in here, which I can, and I go up, it shows me the iframe. But you know from me doing it that it didn't do that in mine. No matter where I clicked, it didn't convert it to the code and take away the Pomodoro. And that was because in here, let's move back a bit. In here, I went to this and we didn't want the backlinks in there, but I changed it to read view, which means it's read only. Now, when I say read only, that doesn't mean the buttons don't work. They do. But it means that clicking down here doesn't take me into edit view and do anything weird. It's just going to sit there and it's just going to count down. And that's it. That is how the Pomodoro exists in there. And that's where it is. Now, what I will say is, you look over here, and we didn't tell Obsidian where to put the files that were created. So when a new file is created, it automatically puts it in the root of the vault, which isn't really clever. So if we go into the settings in here, now where is it? Would it be files? Default location for new notes in the folder specified below, which was inbox. Oh, I know why that's not right, because we didn't call inbox that, did we? It's this one. So I've now said put the new notes in there. And okay. Now, even if it had put this Pomodoro in there, that's not where I would have wanted it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a new page. So we'll call it test page. And we see it didn't appear in the root of the vault. If we go up to inbox, it's there. So that's working. We know that's working. Now I don't need this page, but I'm going to leave it there for a very good reason. But the Pomodoro, as far as I'm concerned, is a resource. So in terms of where it should be in my para system, it's a resource. You can see in there I've got session notes. It doesn't belong in session notes. But it would make sense to me to create a folder called Obsidian or Obsidian resources, one or the other, and put it in there. That's where I would look for it if I needed it, just purely to keep things tidy. That's it. Right, so that's the Pomodoro. Right, the next thing is a plugin that will help you organise your files. Right, why may you need to organise your files? Well, we've seen the graph view. That is Command and G. There is the graph view. Oh my, look at it. Right, why does it look like that? Now, some people can look at a graph view and read it. And what I mean by that is that would tell me there are a lot of unlinked pages. And there seems to be one page in particular that's very well linked, which is this one here, which is the annual index for 2023, which would be right. There's a few things here that are linked. So if we look at this bit here, there are some pages and they are linked. So we've created some dated pages. We've linked to Zonka Ahrens, who was delivering the Smart Notes thing. So you can see these lines are where you have linked notes. That's one set of linked notes, and there's another set of linked notes where we've got some notes linking from weeks to days and demos and stuff. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you want to work. But you would have to think the value of a graph-based note system is that you have links and you navigate between the links. So think about what I did before with Ship 30. There would have been a central hub that was the index page, and that would link to every essay. If we look at what we've got here, we've got hundreds of unlinked pages. That wouldn't happen if we hadn't have added those days where we did a whole year together. So I went back to the drawing board with that and I recreated the year, and this time I created a monthly index and a weekly index. That kind of half solved the problem. But you will add pages, and some of those pages will just not have links. They won't be linked to anything else and nothing will be linked to them. Case in point, the Pomodoro timer. It has no backlinks and it doesn't link to anywhere. It's a resource. So it's not wrong to have pages in there that aren't linked to anything else, but they should really be the exception. And you can see in this graph, they are most definitely not the exception. Right, let's have a look at my real file. So my real vault. It's not moving across. Come on. Right, let's get that one. So let's get rid of that and Command and G. And it will go mad with itself while it sorts itself out. And you can see I've got so many pages in there, it takes a little bit of time. But I don't have anything like the kind of orphaned files that other vault has. Right, but I do have lots of like nodes that are like in groups. Some look like they're completely independent, like that one up there. That one is the week index for 2018. This one down here is the week index for 2020. Some of them are linked in where they're going to like a hub, but my graph looks very different than that demo graph. Your graph will look different again. The majority of my work is happening in this area here, and it makes sense to me that a lot of this is linked. But I discovered that I had quite a few orphaned files. And I think it's that one there. You can see it says orphaned files. And it's pointing out where I have files that weren't linked or backlinked to anything else. So I created the page called orphaned files and I linked them to that. Now why? That's not really fixing the problem, is it? It's putting a plaster on it. It's saying, oh, these files aren't linked anywhere. I'll link them to this page called unlinked files, orphaned files. But the beauty of it is that I can then work my way through that page and see, should this be linked to anything? If it's the Pomodoro, no, it shouldn't. It doesn't need to be. But could it be? Well, yes, it could be. It could be linked to a page called Obsidian Utilities. And that way, if I'm thinking, oh, what was that thing? And I can't remember the name of it, I can get to the Obsidian utilities and it will be linked to from there. Would it make a difference in here? No, because I've turned off the references underneath. So it would make no difference whatsoever. It's just a matter of keeping your vault neat and tidy. And what you see in the graph view bears no relation to what is going on over here. This is organising it in terms of files. This is organising it in terms of links. So it doesn't matter to the graph where the file is in your folder structure and vice versa. Doesn't matter at all. But what do you do if your graph doesn't look neat and tidy like mine, where everything is linked together? What if it looks like that? And you need to work out what all these pages are and how to fix it. Right, let's have a look what some of these are. I'm expecting dates. There we go, 2021. Right. So if I go here, you can see the reason it's orphaned, there's no backlinks and nothing's linking to it. Right, but in here, let's go find them. Right, well, they're periodic notes, aren't they? And we had 2021, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right, we'll work on 2025. Right, we can see in there, yeah, I had that problem as well, where that was in the wrong place. Right, so what we've got in here is we have an annual index. So this is linking to the months. The problem is that if we go into January and we look at January, that one's actually linked, so we're not doing too badly there. Was it the weeks that was the issue? Let's have a look. Yeah, the weeks weren't linked anywhere. Now, was there an index to it? No, there wasn't. So we just had 52 weeks, and there are an example of 52 pages that aren't linked to anything else. What to do? Right, well, it's actually really simple. You create a new note, and I would put 2025 weekly index. But it's going to take me a long time, isn't it, to go in here and put a bullet and then put the double brackets and then go and find the page. Don't do that. Let's do it the easy way. You need 2 pages open, like you can see me here. And on this side, I click that. So I'm in week 1. And I scroll down and I hold the shift key and I grab week 52. All of them. Drag and drop over to the weekly index, and now I have an index. Command and A and a shortcut key to apply a bullet, and now I have a bulleted list. And now those pages, those 50 pages, will not be orphaned in my graph. So if we go back to the graph, we should have something popping up somewhere. Here we go. There's the 2025 weekly index. So it's starting to look a little bit more like mine now, isn't it? And all we need to do is go through and sort out that. Now, I did that by hand with mine, and then I backfilled stuff. The other things that were even worse than that, because that will sort itself out as and when you come to use them, because you will automatically be linking them to others. But some of these may have content in them, and I don't suggest you sit down and do all of it by hand. What you do have is the option to add a community plugin to fix it. So you can see at the moment we only have 2 community plugins. We've got the calendar one and we've got periodic notes. We should check those. No, they don't need any updates, and then go and browse. And what we're looking for is orphaned files. So as soon as you start, that's interesting. That's not the one I'm looking for. Let me go and have a look what it's called in my vault. Oh, don't do that. Surely it was called orphaned files. Let's have a look. You're not going to believe this. It's disappeared. It's disappeared. Don't do this to me. Shall we try fewer characters and hopefully find it? Right. Search the community plugins. Right. It's vanished. Because what's been left there, that's not good. It was there the other day. It was there the other day and now it's disappeared. Right, I'm going to have to go and find that again, aren't I, for next week? Right, what that does give you is an option that there is a plugin that will trash the orphan files. You don't want that. That one would be handy if you'd got unattached attachments, but we don't want to nuke the pages, and it was there yesterday when I looked, and now it's disappeared. Well, there's an example of the kind of things that happen. These community plugins are all very well. If they disappear on you, that's not grand. Well, that's interesting. I'm going to have to do some research now and find out where it's gone and what the problem is. But I'm sure it was called Orphan Files. Oh, hang on. Let me try something else. Let me try Find first. Oh, getting there. That wasn't the right one, but let's try Find. Find and replace. No, it has definitely gone, but there is one there called Find Unlinked Files, which may or may not work. I don't really want to download that and start using it because I've not seen it. I've not tried it. I will try and find the original. If I can't find the original, I will find an alternative and we will look at it next week. Does Excel do things like that to you? Like it was there 10 minutes ago and now it's not. Oh, I love demos like that. That's not good. But there you go.
Well, you saw my demo the other day.
Oh, yes. You tried to insert an emoji and crashed Excel 3 times.
Yes, then I tried it afterwards and it worked.
Knew you were demonstrating live. Clearly, Obsidian knows I'm demonstrating live. No, I will try this one in the week. But what I wanted it to do, that looks like it'll work. Oh, to risk it or not. Go on. Let's install it and have a laugh. Right, it finds orphan files. Well, that's the start. And it finds broken links. It finds empty files. It'll find plenty of those. But the issue is I wanted it to generate a page, which I've done in my own vault. And this one doesn't look like it does that. But we can give it a go, can't we? Right, find unlinked. Is it turned on? So in our community plugins, we will enable it. And then we'll see if it works. Okay, so how I'm going to get to that is Command and P, which takes me to the internal Alfred, if you're with me. And it should be find something. This one looks like it's the same, but it's got a different name. That's bizarre. Right, what am I looking for? I'd like to create a file of, find the orphan files. Right, orphan files output. There you go. That's sort of doing a similar thing with an alarming graph view while it does it. That's what I did with mine, but it wasn't that plugin that I did it with. So what it's doing is it's iterating through my vault and it's showing me things that don't have a link anywhere else. So for example, there's the Pomodoro. The Obsidian notes probably should have a link somewhere else, and the Raycast notes should have a link somewhere else. But what it's doing is showing me all of the files that aren't linked. Now it's created a file for it. The graph has totally changed because now this purple dot is this file, orphaned files output. So when we hover over it, it is now linked to all of the unlinked files. So the graph is completely different. Let's close that page down. And you can see the graph is incredibly different. So this thing here is all the files that are unlinked. This was the index that we built. And these were the little tiny graphs that we had of real content that was correctly linked. Now, this on this vault, not impressive. But if you can imagine that those files were unlinked in a vault of 5 or 10,000 notes, it's much more useful to be able to go through them, to iterate through them and do something with them. Either they shouldn't be there or you should add links to them. People who are incredibly into this can take like 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon to sit there and link notes together because they know that the time invested is worth it when they come to query their vault or even a part of their vault, like their Zettelkasten, that they know they will find their content. I love walking through my vault and I find things and think, oh, I'll link that to such and such. You know, maybe I've read 3 books since then and I think they should be linked to those as well, and that's what I will do. This is just a plugin that makes it a little bit easier for you because you don't have to find the unlinked files yourself. It's just a shame it wasn't the one I used, but it's working. It's working, and it's giving us a page that's a good jump off point to start with. So if I bring that on in here and get rid of these, it has put that in the root, and that is the page. All of these are unlinked, and you need to do something with them to link them. Now, like I said, a lot of these were because we manually added dates. Some people say you shouldn't add a page unless it's already linked to something else. The reason that I add calendar pages, and I don't care if they're not linked to anything, it doesn't really matter to me. But the reason that I add them is, you know, if somebody says like, oh yes, it's my birthday on the 11th of February, which it actually is somebody's birthday tomorrow. And that's where I want to put it. And I don't then want, you know, so I put a birthday in for tomorrow. Tomorrow's page wouldn't exist until I created it tomorrow. So where am I supposed to put the fact it's somebody's birthday? Well, if I find out today, I could put it on today's page and I could reference the date. But I'd much rather put it on the page when the birthday actually is, or whatever date it actually is. So when Mike gets the dates for next year's Excel extravaganza, I'll put it straight on those dates. Those pages exist. But some people say you shouldn't do that. But I know I'm going to need a page for every day anyway, because I use it every day. Mike does not use it every day. So he could well have pages in there that are blank. But we're working on that, aren't we, with a cattle prod? His little face. So those were a couple of plugins that could actually help you. So the Pomodoro, not a plugin, that's just a line of text. Remind me to put that somewhere that people can copy it. But that one was a plugin that sorted out the graph, and you could see the difference in my graph to this graph. And as I've said, everybody's graph is different. If you don't want all of those loose files flying around, one option is to create this orphaned files output. But of course, that is only going to be accurate at the point it's created. It would only take me to make one more file, and now we've got another orphan. But at the moment, in the absence of me doing anything silly, we have no orphaned files. Every file that wasn't linked to anything else is linked to the orphaned files output. So, do we have any questions on that?
No.
Jamie likes it. It looks like an emoji. It's so funny, the graph. It looks different every time you load it. So even if you're looking at the same pages, you know, if I bring this one on and I go somewhere else. So let's go somewhere else. Let's go down to there. April the 21st. You can see nothing happening on April 21st, and go back to the graph, and it can look completely different. It will draw it in a different way. So you can see it pulling it in. This time, instead of the busy bit being at sort of 1 o'clock, it's moved it round to 3 o'clock. Yesterday, it had that at 9 o'clock. And you can with this, it probably wouldn't make sense doing it with mine, but this vault has been around for maybe 4 or 5 weeks now. If we go into the graph view, we'll toggle that off. Oh, look at that, it's fabulous. You can in here, is it the graph settings? Oh, it's somewhere in here. This is your graph growth. This is how it grew. So you can sit and you can watch all the little pages be added. So there's the core of what we worked on in the middle. And then as we added the extra years, you can see them appearing around it. So it gives you an animation. In the Reddit forums, is it forums on Reddit? I don't know, I hardly ever bother the place. But in the thready things in Reddit, whatever they are, you see people who've done screen recordings of this. Over the course of 2 years. So they speed it up a little bit in places. But they do screen recordings and then share it. Oh, it's the ultimate, that, isn't it? In productivity, word we can't say beginning with P. Definitely. So at the moment, it's adding all the years. And then eventually we should get to today where we added that orphan page and the whole graph view changed. I think we're getting there. I can see them appearing in round the edges. But people sit and watch these things for hours. There we go. Look, there was some moving. There's some more moving. Oh, wow. It's like frog spawn, isn't it? I mean, who in their right mind said that? What's happening now is all those pages that were added to that orphaned page, you can literally see them. It's like a magnet. Oh, I am filings, Mike.
I remember
I am filings, definitely. So what's happening is all those orphaned pages have been added to the orphaned page, and as they are, the bit in the middle, the orphaned page, which is going crazy, is expanding, and the rest are disappearing as they get attached to that page. Oh, I'm liking that from Jammy. Mike's Bot and the Cattle Prodder sequel. That would work amazingly well. Oh, this graph is really bizarre, isn't it? I guess it's not real. That's the thing. It's adding 4 years worth to that. We've added 1 year. It's adding the other 4 years to that one orphan page. But yes, people sit and they watch this for hours. Not me. I try and work out what the problem is and then try and fix it. But there you go. I think it's finally finished and it's making it a little bit bigger now. So you can, if you want, see how your graph view grew from the start, if you want to. Right, well, at least that worked out in the end, even though it wasn't the plugin that I was looking for. I will try and find the plugin that I was looking for. But if not, that one will do exactly the same by the look of it. Right, okay. What do we have coming up? Oh, we actually have something coming up. Something to put in your diaries beyond next Friday. Right, because I don't enjoy January, do I? And February's not much better, to be honest. But by March, I'm awake. But I've gone early this year. So we have got planner pages for teachers in Affinity Publisher a week on Monday. It is Monday, the 20th of February. Even if you are not a teacher, there will be things in there like data merge, where you're only merging Monday to Friday, and other things that would be useful in Affinity Publisher. But the examples will be planner pages for teachers. If you have any specific requests, let me know. We will be following that up, but I'm not announcing a date because then I would have to change it. But we will be following that up with planner pages for students. And then we're taking a slight detour into something that came out. There was a brand new version, Q4 last year. And it's one of my most popular videos, even though I don't talk about it a lot. And that's Pixelmator Pro. So I will be looking at Pixelmator Pro, which has altogether now, it was one of the first apps that had it, AI. There is a lot of content in Pixelmator Pro that is automated and relies on artificial intelligence. So that will be coming up too. We, of course, are back next Friday. So that's the 17th of February, same time, same place, having fun. Available on demand, we have got everything. So youtube.com/Elaine Giles. There is the MacBites After Hours playlist on which you will find every episode of MacBites After Hours. And there's an extra one. Do you remember when the sync was off? There's an extra one on there. Couldn't get rid of the original, but I made another one. I had to process it myself to get the lip sync sorted. You will find that at macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. And of course, coming up to Valentine's Day, we love you guys. If you love us, give us a like on YouTube because it really makes a difference. And subscribe. There is my mailing list at elainegiles.com/VIP, where you will get first notification of the Affinity Publisher sessions coming up. There is also MacBites mail at macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. Then there's Slack. And before you turn off, different URLs. So pay attention. That's where we carry on the conversation. If you are not already a member, we have a new link for you. This will enable you to join us. So macbites.co.uk/join Slack. And that's the URL and the QR code. If you are already a member, then you can't remember the URL, then use macbites.co.uk/Slack. And that will redirect you to where you are able to log in and say hello. So that's where we're all at. So what have we got in relation to questions? There must be something.
Stephen says the orphaned files plugin is now the unlinked files plugin.
It shouldn't change its name when I'm in the middle of a demo.
Orphaned may be non-PC these days.
Well, I was thinking that, but that's how people refer to them. Anyway, as long as I've got the right one, hopefully it's the right one. Right, what else have we got?
Yeah, when I do training on that system at work, not Nucleus, Cascade, we talk about orphaned tasks.
There's a lot of things that you can't say anymore in polite company, trust me. But the other day, it was orphan files. What can I say? Oh, that's a good point, Jamie. Almost a year since we began our hiatus. Kim loves us, but not sure about the AI. There's going to be no ignoring it, Kim. Because even if it's absolute rubbish and people are not interested, or some people aren't interested, some people are. They are excited as anything over it. And that alone will carry people with it. It will not die while that's happening. So it can't be ignored, which was basically what that 2-hour session this afternoon, the conclusion they came to. It cannot be ignored. I don't think you'd want to ignore it if it's implemented properly. So I remember demonstrating Pixelmator Pro in 2017, and you added elements to an image, and one of the AI features was that it would name the layers. And it did. You put a dog in and it said dog. Now, I know some things are going to be more obvious than others. So you could have like a picture of a Samoyed, and depending on what else was in the frame, you might think it's a polar bear. But most of the time, it was fairly accurate. Obviously, this stuff that's being used now, particularly in the written stuff, so not particularly graphics, but the written stuff some of it's impeccable. It really is. In terms of factual accuracy, I don't think factual accuracy is its strong point. So I'm asking it as a test about the Munich air crash and name the players that died. I mean, most of the club couldn't name the players that died, but do you know what I mean? That's factual. You can find that out. And it doesn't do a great job. It doesn't. You can't say one of the players died and so did 8 others when there was only 8 others in the first place. Can you not do basic maths? But no, it can't. But if you were writing something about, if you said to the AI, write me a 6-point plan for the perfect morning routine, it would do. Because that isn't capable of being factually correct. It would be your interpretation of it. So as long as what you ask it to do is an opinion-based piece where some people will argue with it, but they can't actually say it's factually incorrect, which I can do with what I'm asking it, it's good enough. And you will find a lot more people now creating content that is just AI. Google insists, if you want to post that on your blog, that you must say this was generated with AI and factually checked by a human. If they detect that that's AI and you do not have that disclaimer on it, they will either take you out of the search results or put you down the bottom of the search result. So there's that at the moment, but you're not going to be able to ignore it. I mean, you saw with Microsoft Designer, the whole thing was based around it, whether you like it or not. And as I said, it's in PowerPoint and I turn it off. We can't be doing with it. But we can't ignore it. Hello, Tracy. All right, Jamie says, hang on, what's this future episode business? What, the fact we had a hiatus? Do you want another hiatus, Jamie? What's the something for a future episode, Mike? Right.
AI, I think.
Oh, right. Can't remember if I've asked before. Is it possible to cover backing up photos taken on an iPhone to a Mac, so a physical backup? Yes, you did ask before. It's on my list. It's on my list, and we redid the system as well, didn't we? Just need to work out what that extra table is. So, yes, you did, and I've got some notes on it already, so it will appear. Right, something that's not stored in an app like Eagle. Sure, it's amazing. You're old-fashioned and you like to have files tucked away. Nothing wrong with that. If it's a file structure you want to build, then Bridge is your friend. You can have Bridge export its cache to the actual folder. And then the next time you go back to it, it'll load instantly because the cache is there. So Bridge is your friend for that. And I know Tracy doesn't like having files inside an app. With Eagle, I've just surrendered. It's like, do you know what? I've not got time to manage these files. I need to create content. I've got time to manage the files. So my files for like a presentation like tonight, there was a lot of images there. There were images of the Munich stuff. There were images that were designed in Designer. There were photographs. There was all kinds of stuff. So I had a screenshot of my watch as well, which didn't make it. That didn't make the cut. There was the certificate from the Global Excel thing. Not all of those are automatically dumped in Eagle, because some of them will be photographs and they'll be taken. Like last week, I had an image of the Scottish Saltire, and I also had an image of the Neeps and Tatties that we had. They need to get put in a single place, and they're not really in a single place. They are either in Eagle, in a parastructure, or they're in a folder for the individual session. But I don't get that bothered. But as long as they're in one of two places, I'm fine. And I'll sort them out later. They will end up in probably in two places. One would be in a folder and one would be in Eagle. But, once you do start putting stuff in Eagle, you start relying on Eagle. Instead of having thousands of images, screenshots, watch shots, you name it, lying around, all with stupid names like IMG_1239, and then you have to look at them to know which ones you're looking for, or you have to filter by date or something like that. You don't need to. Just ask Eagle and Eagle will give it to you. So you'll warm to Eagle in the end. You will. Oh, Peter, is there any news on the Affinity photo version? No, there isn't. And do not get the dogs on it. The dogs need to be satisfied with the last thing before we move them on to the next. Photo version 2. The features are not as impressive as in Designer and Publisher, as far as I'm concerned. I am working on something for photo, but I can't say any more, and no amount of dog side eye is going to help. Just say it. Oh, the dogs are so cute. Absolutely adorable. Yeah, that's why Bridge is there as far as I'm concerned. Bridge has some really great features in terms of what you can create with it. And I do like the fact for digital photography that your files are in a file structure and Bridge sits over the top of them. So I don't really, with Eagle, I've got thousands of images in there, but they're not photos that are categorized and sorted by, shoot or holiday or anything like that. They're my working files. And Eagle makes working with them so much easier. I have one vault that I call work in progress, which is basically everything. It's a dumping ground. And I have another one for all the MacBites stuff. And that's because if I make a poster for MacBites, there's going to be about somewhere between 17 to 24 different versions of it at different sizes. And Eagle enables me to create a pre-configured filter for images of a certain size. So when I'm writing the emails, I just click this filter, only show me, filter this for the size for the email. Filter this for the size for uploading to YouTube. I don't really want to see all the rest of them, and there's nothing else that really does that as well as Eagle does it. If I were to use Bridge for that, yes, I could create filters and stuff, but I'm doing it sat on top of a file structure. If I move the files, then the filters don't work, whereas in Eagle they do. So that's what I do. Side eye, looking askance. Yes, where you see the whites of their eyes, Tracy. You know, like when they're really trying to shame you into something. That. Right, what else have we got? Oh no! Little faces are dropping, ears are going back. Oh no!
Guilt trip.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Oh my. We watched one of the dogs that we follow on YouTube tonight, didn't we? And this poor dog has to go for, is it aquatherapy? Basically swimming therapy. And she'd bought it, what could only be described as a dressing gown for when it got out. Side eye much? Oh, there was blame game going on, wasn't there? Wouldn't even get out of the car wearing this thing. It was like a toweling thing, so it dried rather than it catching the cold when it left the place. But it was not happy. It was not a happy hound, and it was side-eyeing fit to bust. So it did well with biscuits. I can assure you, it did very well with biscuits when it got back home. Oh, right. Have we got anything else?
Doesn't look like it.
Dog sad eyes. Yes, this is it, you see. Peter's rolled the big guns out here. He's rolled the big guns out. But I kind of... The fact that After Hours has been going on through January and February is quite an achievement, because I loathe January and February. I always have. I cannot explain it. My mum used to be like, oh, after Christmas I'll do this, and after Christmas I'll do that. And I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't. But she used to think she would. She was like... She really planned for January, didn't she? But I just think you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And January for me has always been like, oh, I've got the finances to do. I've got the year end to do. I've got this. So no, I don't like January. Hence last year we took a break about this time, wasn't it? Yeah. I'd had enough. I'd staggered through January and February and I needed a break. So at least I've well, there's a show next week. Can't. We've not discussed March yet, but we will look ahead to March. There you go. We will look ahead to March and have a think. I don't think Jammy wants us on another break, but you never know, because he's doing the marathon and he might want to catch up. Oh, March. We've got to think about something in March, haven't we, Mike? Something that's, what date is it? It's the 10th. Oh, it's weeks away yet, but yes, something in March. Oh, you see, Kim says January and February is very dark outside. Don't care for it. Being dark doesn't really bother me. One, it's cold. So, yeah. But everybody seems so depressed in January. I know Blue Monday's the 16th this year, wasn't it? Don't they say the first Monday that business is open? That's when you used to get people. When I was a solicitor, your phone would be ringing off the hook with people trying to book for a divorce. So, that didn't exactly endear you. And while that wasn't my area of expertise, trust me, family law, no, on pain of death. But my area of expertise was personal injury. And I didn't like the fact that, from like the end of October to early March, it was car accident after car accident after car accident. And I had to get involved, even though I didn't want to. That wasn't, it was my area, but not automobile. No, not cars. Leave me out of it. It was medical malpractice. So unless they got taken to hospital and then lost a leg, I didn't really want to be involved, and I had no choice but to get involved. So I didn't like January for that reason either. So as it gets better, I should have done it in November. Oh no, Jammy says he'd be devastated if we did it again. Oh no, definitely. We may take a break at some point. Can I say it won't be before next Friday? There you go. I am prepared to commit to next Friday. And you already know I've committed to a week on Monday. So there you go. 10 days from now, there'll be a live session as well. Can't say fairer than that. And then, of course, there's the ones that the dog did shame me into, which is now almost ready. I'll say almost. I won't go any further than that because Peter might get giddy and the dogs would pick up on it. Do you ever miss law? I'm misunderstanding the principles. So when I was teaching myself medical malpractice, it really was teaching myself because it was such a new thing in the law. That would have been late 80s. And medical malpractice wasn't really a thing back then. It may have been in the States. They were more advanced than we were. But there wasn't even a textbook on it. And I remember we had to write this essay. And this essay was a 3,000-word epic on something. And basically it was like on an area of law that you had an interest in. So I did this 3,000-word essay on medical malpractice and why I felt it was important and a growing area of law. What I didn't realise was that this thing was going to be sent off, and it was sent off to Oxford, and they were given a scholarship based on this essay. And the next I know, I've got a letter saying that I'd won a place. So it was basically a postgrad course in medical malpractice, but I did it before I'd even graduated. So I headed off to Oxford. And after that, it did become a thing. So obviously medical malpractice is huge these days, but it wasn't back then. So I loved the research aspect of it, and the clients were a delight. Absolutely every one of them was a delight to work with. So I missed that bit. But my colleagues, who would want to work with lawyers all day, every day? What was I thinking? They were, well, I'm trying to think of a programme that you could compare it to. Like The Living Dead, really, wasn't it? They thought of nothing but their bottom line, their bonuses and their cars, and it did my head in. It absolutely did my head in. So it made me grumpy. So I decided in the end, no, couldn't be doing with it. I did go out on a high, though, didn't I, with that case? It was so funny. We'd got this case and he dumped it on me. So I had the guy, he owned the place, right? And he dumped this case on me. And it was it bordered on a fish file. A fish file, if you're wondering, is what lawyers call files that have been there a while. They're fishy. They smell fishy. Literally, they're the difficult cases, or they're the ones you don't want to talk about. So this thing somehow had staggered to court. And he said, that's in court next week. So can you sort it out? I'm like, what? It's in court next week? I never even seen it before. So I spends time on this file, and it was a dog bite. And it was like, we'll probably have to settle it for peanuts. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at the photos of this dog bite, and I'm thinking, I wouldn't want to settle that for peanuts. Long story short, it came to the day before we were going to court. And that's when they want to talk about it. That's the time they'll think about settling it for you. So obviously I'm on the side of the plaintiff, the one who had been bitten by said dog. And they were offering silly, silly money for it. So I looked at it all, I got through the file, and I thought, we can't go to court tomorrow. The doctor's in Magaluf on holiday. So obviously we can't go to court. I've not got a doctor. So I thought, well, I either tell them that, and if I told the other side that, what would happen is they'd be like, oh, fair enough. They'd sit back and they'd make this poor woman wait even longer. So I thought, I could always bluff it out. Say, I'll see you tomorrow. So I thought, well, I'm leaving anyway. I was literally leaving in like 3 days. So I thought, I'll do that. So I bluffed it out, and they doubled the offer, and then they doubled it again. And I'm saying, oh, I'll talk to her, but I can't see it. She's all geared up to go to court. You've been putting this off for years and whatever. And then I said, right, I'll call you back at 12:30. And I got them up from, I think it was £400 to 8,500 in about 20 minutes. And there was no way we were going to court because we didn't have the doctor. So I went in to tell the guy who owned the place. And he looked at the paperwork at this stage and he said, we've not got a doctor, so we can't go to court. So, there's nothing we can do. And I said, he's offered me 8,500 and I'm settling at 5:30. He went, what? But you've not got a doctor. I said, well, I wasn't going to tell him that, was I? That was just classic. Absolute classic. But, who could work like that? I like things organised and orderly. And, you're basically bluffing. It's like being a con artist. So in terms of, do I miss it all? No. I miss helping people. I do. I miss that. But other than that, no. Working with my colleagues? Absolutely not. Always an influencer. There was another one, wasn't there, that didn't go as well. He told me to go to court on another one and that somebody would take me through the file, and they didn't. And it came to like 2 minutes beforehand. And I was a trainee at this stage. And this guy swaggers out, wasn't even qualified, swaggers out with, oh, do you want some help now? Well, there were more than bad words said, weren't there? Let's just say he ended up on the floor. Don't know how that happened. But he never did it again. Never did it again. So no, there was far too much other stuff going on. And who wouldn't want to play with tech when you could play with tech or be a lawyer? No-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. I'd like to say that the tech is logical, but sometimes it's not, is it? Like renaming things because it's politically incorrect. Yeah, don't do that to me in a live demo. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Tracy says, I reckon you help very many people nowadays. That carries it on. It's nice, that is nice. I remember speaking to people who were, medical malpractice, you can imagine. They were in a bad place. And they would always send me out to do it. And I'm like, well, look, I can be as, what's the word? Gentle as possible and yet get the information out of them. But it does take it out on you as well. But, I'd be thinking, well, they'll either get me or they'll get this guy that was my principal. And I'm like, let's leave him out of it. Because he would upset everybody. The only time we rolled him out was where we had a named person on a case representing a class action. And if she didn't see the principal once every sort of 3 to 4 months, she'd get really snotty. So we had to roll him out. But, other than that, it's like, don't roll him out because he'll only upset somebody. Oh, my. I am glad that you are all appreciative. Thank you very, very much. Right, so I will be back next Friday and a week on Monday. Make sure it's in your diary, Jammy. Wouldn't want to find you at the gym, would we? Because I announced last night on Twitter that I was going to do Microsoft Designer, and Jammy hadn't heard of it. So do I take it from that you weren't on the waiting list? Oh, Richard said, better half used to work for a big PI company in Sheffield, Manchester. Oh, now you've got me wondering which one. The thing was, when I started medical malpractice, it was bizarre that the only practice that specialised in it was about 2 miles up the road. I had no idea. And it was a piece in the local paper, and my mother already knew that was what I wanted to specialise in. And she said, you're not going to believe this. And I read this piece and I said, I'm going to ask for work experience. And I did. And that was how I got into it at that point. But the next one that I worked for took on far too much car incidents. Oh, car. And then when there was something that was genuine medical malpractice, they didn't really have a clue what to do with it, which got me experience, but not really the right way. Right, okay, Richard, okay. Personal injury, PI. PI is personal injury. Right, okay, I'm going to head off because I'm thinking some ice cream might be a nice idea, because Mike spent 3 days discussing it, didn't you, with your excellent ice creams? Yeah. So ice creams is always a good idea. I hope you have all enjoyed that. I hope I will see you next week. But for the moment, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.